Like we had insulated walls put in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Someone's got a new Netflix special. Couldn't think of any other way to start.
The opposite of what I thought you. Wow.
Dun, dun, dun. So you do have a new Netflix special, though.
I do.
I don't want this to be like an interview.
No, but I like it. I'm actually proud of it. You know, it's like I'm still proud of it. You know,
That's
usually
awesome.
a certain amount of time will go by where I'm like, by the time I'm even now, I've gotten it better on the road because. You know, the day after you shoot it, you go out on the road.
And you're a murderer.
And you have a little fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's when you go, and then you go, but I'm still proud of it. And it was my favorite thing the guy did, Jeff Rowe is the guy and Scott Moran, but just everything I wanted, they did it. Perfect.
That's awesome.
The look, the
Where'd
lighting.
you do it?
I did it at the Lyric, and the Lyric is great, but there's no doubt.
Is the Lyric in L.A.?
The Lyric is in L.A. It's like at Melrose and La Brea. Pretty, but they sort of used it as a shell, and it's already a pretty cool club. But you know, the biggest compliment I got, someone said, "You know what's weird about your special? I want to go there, and it doesn't exist." What it looked like.
Right.
Where is that?
They had good set people.
It just looked like a cool jazz club in New York City that was but not. It wasn't small because it was an after. You know, sometimes it's small, but it's shitty. That's the look, and it's cool. It's sort of what's the word, kitschy? Or
Yeah, I don't know what that word is.
yeah,
I
it's
only see it
charming,
written.
and that's the look they want. I didn't want that. Not that I think that's bad, but because some people have done that really well, and it's a cool way to see a comedian just in a cool little raw space. But I want it small, but like it's a jazz club in New York City, but it's like $150 to get in, and it holds 100 people. It's like that type of thing, run like a theater. You know?
Well, you helped design one of my all-time favorite clubs, Helium in Philly. You helped design that place, didn't you?
Well, when Acme, Lewis Lee said, you know, Todd's from Philly. He'll probably love to give you advice.
Right.
So when it was just a warehouse, like cement, I met him down there, and he's like, I'm thinking of opening up a club. And, you know, I told him a lot of stuff. I made email, you know, like 6 pages of, you know, here's very detailed things. And you know what? He listened to a lot of it. Like, I give him credit, you know?
That's awesome. It's a great fucking club.
It
There's something about those intimate spaces. Like, one of the things that I've noticed when I'll take people on the road with me is that guys who have never worked at theater, like, it takes a few tries to they go, oh, okay, this is a whole different thing. There's so many people here. You got to kind of project out to them. It's like a different thing. It's not, you don't feel them the way you feel them in the OR.
Right.
On like a Wednesday night, right? Or Comedy Works in Denver, where they're on top of you. You feel the people there more, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then you learn it pretty quick, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you ever do the belly room at the store?
I've done it a few times, and of course, I love little rooms.
Yeah.
Like, I love, like...
Well, when I used to do Tempe, you always did that side room on purpose. They would
Joe,
try to get you to
everything.
do the big place.
Well, the side place, you know, not to get too, but you get it.
Yeah,
but
no,
for
the
the
side place
listeners,
I was jealous. I remember I came over. I was in the regular one, which is great. I was having a good time.
It is.
But when Joey and I went next door and watched you, I was like, this room's better. This is the better room.
Well, even in D.C., which I think is a good example, D.C. has a 60-seat room. And whenever I'm in there, I go, like, I give it. I had a 2-piece band playing. They put black tablecloths on all the tables. Wow. The lights are gelled blue. So now people are turning the corner into this thick blue room with 2 guys with black suits playing jazz as they're being seated and eating. So now I don't feel like it's an afterthought. What you just said, and I'll take it as a compliment, the other comedian that's in the main room there, which is an awesome room.
Yeah.
But you look into the little room and you're like, it just looks like something's going on. And that's how I want it to look. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. It's more of a hang, right, than a big show. And your style's so loose on stage, like, lends itself to intimacy. You know, lends itself to those nice, compact spots.
Yeah.
Do you ever do the Ice House, the annex room?
I mean, not forever, but yeah, I know what you mean right
Same
away.
thing. That one's the craziest. The Ice House is about as deep as this room. It goes side to side a little bit. I think the whole room, that annex, only gets, what is it, like 70 people? maybe 70 people.
And all the chairs are like facing the audience.
Yep.
See, that says, oh, no. You're sitting here. You're going to say goodbye to your friend for a little while.
Yeah, this shit.
Yeah,
that they
right.
do at, like some of the improvs, like this, like, and then the people are watching the show like this, and they have to kind of turn and look past the person next to them. They're trying to feed you food too. Like you're working in a half restaurant.
The thing about, I will say this about a good club, most of the food's been served or I couldn't do what I'm about to tell you that I've done. So the club has to at least be good at going, no, we get the food out. We have food, we can get out. By the time the show started, we try to have the whole room serviced. So in the event, and like Helium does that. But so I started making this announcement, and I would tell people, because I do my own pre-show announcement. It has to do with what you said about when they're sitting sideways.
Right.
And I would just go real calm, I go, other than that, folks, hey, now's a good time to turn your chair around. You're always going to have to annoy someone to the right or the left of you, but now's the time to do it. And once all the chairs are facing the stage, we'll get this thing started. Play a little house music, and then you know what? They wouldn't do it. But another 30 seconds, I'd go, so we're just waiting for all those chairs to get turned around, and then we'll get it started. So it looks like we're close to showtime. And the second time, boom, 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 boom. Every chair in the room, they're like, oh, they're not. But, I get it. It's a pain in the ass. And if I was in the audience, I wouldn't want to turn my chair around. But guess what? Once someone made me do it, you'd enjoy the show better. And they do.
We got, this. If you ever use those Yonder bags, you know what those bags are? They make people put their cell phone in a bag.
Yeah, Denver has them.
Yeah, Denver uses them for all their shows now. I started using them for all my shows.
So a company comes in and just does it for you?
Yeah, you hire them. They come in, and then when they put the phone in the bag, they still hold onto their phone.
Right.
They can leave the room if they get a phone call, like you have a kid or something like that, and someone's watching the kid. You can always get out of the room and make a call. But you can't call people when you're in the room. And I was having people calling people and talking on the phone. You could see them talking on the phone while the show's going on. And people around them would be getting pissed off. And someone on Twitter commented on it. And everyone's got their phones up. And look, I know I've done it too. I'm totally a hypocrite. When I saw Honey Honey with Gary Clark, they performed in this little tiny room in downtown LA. It was a midnight show on like a Tuesday. And I filmed it and I put it on my Instagram. So I know I'm a hypocrite. But that was a rare occasion, and it wasn't a comedy show. It's like a comedy show. You have to pay attention to what the fuck's going on. If you're filming it, you're definitely not paying full attention.
Right.
It's just not. You're gonna miss some stuff. It's just not the same thing. When you're filming shit, like everybody is just, and even if you're not, you're checking this and checking texts and. Boy, we got a real addiction problem in this country. These are new things. These are new objects.
I realize, because I'm not delusional, that the amount of it, I can put most of it to rest with a pre-show announcement, where I'm at in my career. But I get it. As you get to different levels, there's different intensity. So I get it. But I changed my pre-show announcement when I went to see Brian Regan. The person next to me, they were texting. I couldn't hear them. Matter of fact, they even had their light down. So you think, well, what could bother me? And it did. And it didn't matter if it was right or wrong. I know what it was. Yeah. I wanted the person next to me to be loving him as much as I was loving him. Yeah. And the fact that I saw them on their phone all night, even they weren't making a peep, it started to bother the fuck out of me. I was getting angry. And then I went, no, I'm going to do the same thing at my show. I go, don't turn your thing all the way down. I go, I know what you think, and you pull it out near your knee. I go, seriously, if you pull your phone out after this announcement, you look like a dick. I go, and other than that, we're glad you're here. And you know what? You have to pink that announcement a little longer, but it works.
I'm worried about people. I really are. This is a really new thing. The more I'm thinking about it, the more like looking at your phone constantly is really only 10 years old. Right? Like 2008-ish, the iPhone came around in 2009, right? Before that, people were a little texty. Some people more texty than others. They really got into text messages. But once that iPhone came out, and once people started doing a bunch of stuff and apps and stuff on your phone, it changed the whole game.
I don't know with this topic, if I'm like, I could be way off or I could be off kilt, but the way I come to my conclusion about like, it is a weird thing. And even me, I can acknowledge it. Otherwise, if I don't acknowledge it, then you're never going to tell someone the opposing side if they don't think you get you see it. But it just seems like in the past, now this could be different with no snarkiness at all. This could be a different thing. Every time they think there's one of these things, like TV, radio, just seems like we get past it.
Oh, I think we'll get past it.
Well, you know what I mean? I didn't think the world was going to explode.
No, I'm worried about I'm not worried about the human race, but I'm worried about the lives of certain people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like saying, like, are you worried that crack's going to destroy the human race? No, I'm not worried that crack is going to destroy, but I do think it can destroy the lives of some people. And I feel the same way about this.
Right, like the texting. Like
it's not just that. It's like being plugged into electronics to the point where that's where you're getting most of your stimuli from. You're getting artificial stimuli. My concern, and this is a real concern, is that we're getting really into that, and then we're going to let it take the next step, which is some sort of an implant. I feel like this is like we're in a movie. We're in a movie about a person that becomes a machine. And we're watching this rationalization process as we slowly get more and more ingrained and interconnected with technology.
We'll definitely, in our lifetime, have somebody
100%.
I try, like what you were just addressing, like we said before, like I catch myself and I really try. Like if I had to give myself a grade on how much I've improved on like turning the phone off, like loving it for what's great about it, I give myself maybe a C-, but it means I've made some strides in like turning it off.
You're not an F.
Not an F, not from far. Matter of fact, I remember a week ago, I was going to the Grove and I went, I'm not meeting anybody. And I left my phone in the car.
Ooh, strong move. That's a strong move.
No, what sucked is I had two ideas.
In the car is like,
I had two ideas and I was high and I didn't want to write them down. I went, shit, that's the thing about leaving your phone in the car. Take a picture or show someone a picture, or it doesn't have to always be. But anyway, I try to go and never walking through a line.
That actually could encourage you to write. You could just use.
I hate writing.
But I mean, saying you can only use your phone when you have a note or an idea. That's the only time you could use it.
Well,
so you make like a loophole. Like I'm pretending that I don't even have this phone unless I need to make a note.
You know what? I could put it on airplane mode.
You could put it on airplane mode.
And still have it for the other stuff. Although it weighs my pants down, oddly enough.
That's true.
Good conversation, right?
It does do that. No,
it does. It's weird. I pull my pants up all night
and shit. That's why I like fanny packs. People just mock me relentlessly.
Can I tell you something? There's no way. I say it all the time when I go, especially if I have my Altoids, and then I have a pipe, and then I go, what the fuck?
You're a pipe guy?
I still do for some reason.
You're old school. It's old school.
What else? Like, what do you do?
You like jazz clubs? You like pipes?
What do you do? Like, what is your typical way to
Mostly
smoke?
Joints or vape pens.
It's the rolling of the joint that I have a question for you.
Okay.
And I think you might know the answer. I smoke. I'm not going to
pressure.
Blame you if something happens. I know I switched conversation completely, but you might have the answer.
No
I have two things I want to ask you a question about.
Okay.
Did I interrupt?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
I smoke now 7 nights a week.
Wow.
So I'll have like a joint. I would say if I had to put it in joint size, maybe a joint per night. So it's not that.
It's not a tremendous amount.
Just at night. Not that I'm saying I want a prize for that. Just for me, it works better at night. But I say I quit smoking, and I did. I quit smoking. I used to smoke around a pack and a half a month.
That's not
this
that
as bad?
Pack and a half a month is pretty.
It wasn't horrendous, but I quit because I had a
couple a day.
Yeah. Is this smoking 7 nights with just a joint as bad as when I smoke cigarettes?
No, it's not. It's not the same thing.
It's not even close?
No, it's not even close. There's no evidence that marijuana smoke causes cancer. What you can do is get respiratory irritation. You can, it can fuck with your voice.
What about tar?
But you could avoid all that stuff is what I was going to say with a vaporizer.
I know, that's what I should be doing.
Vaporizer is the way to go. But it is a different high, oddly enough. Vaporizer seems like a little bit more clean in some weird way. Like when I get high with a vaporizer, I'm always like, whoa, this is like it's almost as if, this is going to sound so crazy. There's something that has to do with the fire interacting with the plant that connects you to nature. There's like something about a lit joint. You take it in, and I feel natural. When I vaporize, I feel alien. When I vaporize, I feel like what this is like, let's extract all of what it is to be a living thing and get to the molecules. What's the molecule? What temperature do I heat those bitches up where I can shove them right in your bloodstream? That's what the vaporizer sees. The vaporizer is like, hang on, Hannah. Like, woo! woo! Like you're not connected the same way. It's connected a different way. They're both amazing. It's not
That's
a
what most
judgment
people
call.
probably agree. I agree with you. Most people do, I think.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yeah, I know.
It's a different thing.
Even a joint, I don't roll joints because I'm lazy. But whenever someone has a joint and they put it, I go, this just happens so.
Yeah.
I get a little higher.
I like the smoke joints. It feels like it's real clear what's happening. You know, like there's a lot of these vape pens. You got to press them 5 times, then hold them, and you're sucking it in. You don't know what's in that oil, man. Who's making that stuff?
And
Who's
you get
making
yelled
that
at.
shit?
They yell at you when you can't do it. Just press it twice. All right, it doesn't work as easy as you think.
Jesus Christ, with the press it twice.
I got one more thing.
Do you ever fuck around with spray? Jumbo spray? You ever fuck around with Jumbo? Do you know what Jumbo is?
You put it in the water?
No, super organic, really high-end edibles and spray. And this fucking spray will put you on the moon.
Wow, do you have any?
Of course I do.
Wow, but I have to drive. I have someone hanging with me today, John Brand Wagner.
Yeah, what
Give
is
him a
this
shout out. I give
This
him a
is
shout out, you piece
this
of
is
shit.
the 1,000 milligram. Like if you drank the whole bottle, it's 1,000 milligrams.
That's too much to have, of
Oh
course.
yeah.
I wouldn't have a half a spray.
Oh,
So do you
yeah.
think I'm safe to do it right now? It's always fun to
Yeah,
experiment.
just a little spray.
Especially because you're saying to do it. You know why? You know why it's more comfortable?
Why?
Because if something happens to me and I can't,
You
like,
blame me? Oh, let's
Well,
just don't
blame-
blame me. Let's do it afterwards. Unless you want to do it now. I'm like the worst crack dealer ever. You can do it now.
well, I mean, it's everybody wants to
Just
do
get
it.
a little taste.
Let me have a little.
have one.
And then I do have a question. You know, you might have an
Fear.
answer. What did you have? A half a spray?
I had one spray. Good enough.
Okay.
All right, we're in.
Wow.
What was the other question?
You think, why am I asking you this? But I think you might have an answer. So, but I'm being totally honest. I'm
Okay.
exhausted from dealing with, like, it's like, not like it's a big deal, but it's like the first time whether you can admit major things in your life, like, oh, I have a drinking problem, but there can be stupid little things, you know? Mine is eating. Like, I am exhausted from doing it the wrong way. And everything comes back to me for self-control. So when people want to tell me about a diet, it's not portions. I know what portions are. I want to eat more. So it's all down to how do I fucking get self-control. I have zero. I mean, if I'm not going to call it zero self-control, then I don't know what the hell I'm going to call it. But it's very hard for me. At night,
You're
at
very
night.
hard on yourself. I think you have self-control, Todd. I think you're a wonderful man, but you're hilarious. And one of the reasons why you're hilarious is because you're free, you're impulsive, and it's very difficult for that to lend itself to dietary discipline. It's like, I want to eat it. Fuck it. Want to eat it? Should I eat it? I'll just fucking eat it. Right? That's you. That's also part of what makes you such a hilarious comic. It's like you have these impulses.
Wow, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, you don't want
Split the difference
discomfort.
at least with what you're saying.
Well, you don't want discomfort, and you want to have fun. It's like it's right there. I want to eat that food. Fuck it, right?
I just had a thought of me, like, picture me at the Cantor shoving cheesecake in my mouth, and my friends are like looking at me like, Todd, and I go, Joe Rogan said that because I'm creative that I should eat whatever I want. He said it, and you can go listen to his podcast. He said that I should eat. He told me, Joe Rogan, and you can go listen. He said, clear out the mini bar before you get in your hotel bed, even if you're not really hungry, because I'm creative. Okay, so I don't have control over this. Joe Rogan.
There's also a problem. There's another problem with discipline. This is a problem with discipline in comedy.
I think that hit me already.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, that's probably just the weed hit you. It takes a little while for the spray to get you. Usually a few more minutes than that. I forget my point. What was my point?
About the self-control.
Oh, that if you really discipline people in comedy, they don't go well together that much either. Because if you're too driven and too disciplined-y, that's almost always dicky. You know what I mean?
I
you know
think I
what I'm
do.
saying? Like you become too disciplined, too rigid, too determined, and too enthusiastic about success, you get dicky.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I don't, this thought could be wrong. Like, I'm okay with thinking something and then maybe finding out. But whenever a comedian, and I bet there's funny ones out there, definitely, because over the years I remember them. I can't think of which ones, but they definitely exist. They are funny. You know, they are funny. But they've never smoked, drank, Can you be a good comedian if you haven't done those things?
I think you could be a good comedian if you're a man. You could be a good comedian if you're a woman. You could be a good comedian if you're gay or trans. You are a good comedian if you're a good comedian.
Why do I ask that? Because I should be embarrassed to ask that.
There's a lot of people that are really good that don't do shit.
They don't, and never.
Yeah, they don't have a desire to. You know, it's just everybody's brain works different, and some people like the idea of losing control with a substance is not fun.
Right.
They don't like that feeling, but they can keep their shit together. You know, I know a lot of people that don't drink, they don't do anything, but they keep their shit together, and maybe that's better for them. They feel like it is. I don't know.
Right.
I know.
You know what? I as I asked that, you gave me the answer that. You know, to go, you're right. Yeah. But like I asked, it means that I had a question about that, and I think I've talked about this in the past. And once I was like, somebody was saying, well, maybe what if you're not experimenting? But no, there's a billion ways to do those things you use pot to do without the pot, obviously.
Well, I think
Can you edit that out?
I use yoga for that too, man. I love going to a hot yoga class. It's fucking hard, and it's like a drug. Like, you get a lot of thinking done in there, man. When you're just holding these poses and there's no music, no nothing, just everybody in the class breathing. It's a 90-minute class. There's some sort of psychedelic effect there. There's some sort of cleansing of the mind. And I think that's one of the things that we overlook when it comes to mental health. That your brain needs to be cleaned out. You can't just like stagnate and think on thoughts. Your brain needs to, your physical body can clean your brain out a little bit, can get rid of some of the stress and tension, and you can see things clearer. Like those terms, stress reduction, tension relief, what does that mean? It means the way you fucking think, okay? You're doing something to your body that radically alters the way you're gonna think about things. And everybody's supposed to do it. And one of the problems in society is that you don't do it, but you have these instincts that are built into your body from thousands of years of what what people asked of their bodies 20, 30 generations ago. We're all those same people. So if we don't deal with what our body, just some physical activity, you've got to get the blood flowing. If you don't, you're like an overflowing battery or something.
As far as the stopping thing, think I have a great idea for people to do to get a smidget of what it's like to stop. If you go, okay, I won't meditate or I won't do this. I get it. But this, if you do it, I promise, whoever does it that's listening will go, you'll get a little taste of it, and it all happens naturally. But it started by accident, but then we started realizing it's about stopping. So like one night, it was about like probably 10 years ago after dinner or before dinner, I had some hot washcloths. And I was like, oh, just like at a Chinese restaurant, joking around. But we all did it, and then we realized, wow, that really stopped us. The heat, putting it on your face.
Right.
So now I have a ritual that I do. I have it all figured out. I get like, the less people, the better, because the hot washcloth has a short shelf life. It has to be so scorching hot when you hand it to people, so by the time they get it to their face. You know, you can't take warm. So I use the tea kettle, pour it all over, like 6 of them. And here's the rule. The radio goes off. Sometimes you think, I'll leave it on. I don't feel like walking over and turning it off. Nope. Even if it's jazz, off. And I ask everybody, check the pulse of the room. If you take yours off and you're ready to start talking, but you see, 3 people still have it on their face, shh. And I go, I'll break it. But just once you get the hot washcloth in your hands, I go, it's going to be hot. You're going to want to go, oh, it's hot. It's way too hot. It's hotter than you think it is. So just get ready. I give everybody one. They put it on their face. No one even has to tell them to take a deep breath. You naturally do after like a second because you need to. So you go, then you let it out. And then I go, wow. And then you literally, spiritually, you shut down and then you wipe your hands, literally take some of the dirt off your hands from the day. And we always think, holy shit, resetting yourself. That's a simple way to get a taste.
Yeah.
And we always make the joke. We're like, oh, were we just going to eat and then we're going to go throughout the whole day and then, put our food, okay, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I go, no, of course, stop. You got us. And that hot washcloth, it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I think your brain has requirements for those things. Those kind of things. I think those kind of moments are really good for your outlook, a reset. I think that's like the same feeling that maybe a primitive man would get when he would like walk up to the edge of a cliff and see like some crazy view and see nature and birds flying around, the sun. Wow. You know, hey, you know, this is, I'm getting chased by leopards every day, but look, this is fucking amazing. Like a renewed enthusiasm about life itself.
And the simplest things, obviously.
Yeah.
I have a theory. I don't give myself any credit when I have these talks when things are going well. Like, it's good. It helps. You know,
Right.
like, but if I can be in a tense moment and get out of it,
Right.
where I would have, then I'll be proud of myself.
Yeah, that's the thing about all that motivational speaking stuff, right? Like, yeah, it's like the guy who's doing all the motivational speaking, if he's pulling up in a Rolls Royce and he lives in a big mansion, it's like, yeah, you're enthusiastic. Look, everything's going great. How are you if someone takes all this stuff away? Then it becomes
Right.
like, can you be stoic? Can you be at peace when you're broke and you're by yourself in some 1-bedroom apartment somewhere? Can you do it all over again? Get back to the suburbs.
Not.
You know, could you imagine if someone told you? Dane Cook was the first one I ever heard talk about this, so I'll give him credit for that. He said, I would never want to try to do stand-up again. I don't think I could do it. Like, that it is so hard to do that I would never want to start and do it again. Did you ever think, like, what it would be like if you had to start again? Like right now, you have 0 jokes, you've never done stand-up, but somehow or another you have this vague memory of the grind that it takes to become an actual professional.
I think I do it hard. I think definitely.
Definitely, right?
Definitely.
Definitely. But that's because you already know, right? You already know you could do it. It would be a totally different thing.
Right, right.
Actually
You have
a
that
stupid
knowledge.
question. Now that I think about it, fuck Dane Cook. Just kidding. Just kidding, Dane. Don't get upset. But I'm saying if you think about it, like, that doesn't even make any sense, because of course you would know that you could make it. So it would be way easier, even if you just started. Oh, can't believe I'm 21 again doing stand up. This is ridiculous.
Are you 21 again, or
Yeah.
you just? Oh, you are.
You'd have to start from scratch.
I just do it to get younger.
But then once you made the decision, you would, unless you live in some bizarro world where you're allowed to live 2 lives, you would never even have memory, right? You'd be
Right.
21.
That's what
like,
I-
all I'd have to do is just say yes and I'd be
Yes.
21 again. It's a stupid fucking question. It's
Maybe
stupid.
maybe you have it a little off. Maybe he'd be like, "No, I said this and that."
I don't think he thought it through.
You said something a minute ago, and that's when I should write shit down. I was going to ask you.
Was it about the food thing?
No. What were you just talking about before the
We're talking
thing?
about discipline, like hard asses, and then we got to like how difficult it would be to start over doing. I think anything. Like if you said that to a brain surgeon, you want to start from scratch. Start from, right after you graduate high school. You want to take it from day 1, freshman year of college, and be like, oh, just think about getting through. No, fuck that.
Did you ever think of, like, I know 2 things I would have done, like, before. When did you start stand-up?
Excuse me,
Like how
88. I was 21.
Is there a job when you were in high school, did you think, you thought you knew what you wanted to do maybe for a living?
Not really. My number 1 option was teaching Taekwondo, which I already was doing. That's what I was doing.
Oh, so you were already. Oh,
Yeah, but I didn't want to fight anymore, and I didn't think that there'd be like a real future in me teaching. I didn't really like teaching everybody. I only liked teaching people that were super enthusiastic, because I was young at the time. Like when I first started teaching on my own, I was 19. I was teaching at Boston University. I had my own school for
And
a
you
while.
were 21?
I was 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in Boston?
Yeah, in Boston. Yeah, I
know that.
taught a pass-fail A class, like they can get credit for it. And I would say all you have to do is just show up and you get an A. Just try and you get an A. It has nothing to do with your physical performance, because the idea that everybody's starting on the same page is ridiculous.
Right.
Some of these people have like serious athletic backgrounds. Some of these people never worked out a day in their life, and they thought it'd be fun to try something new. So the idea of like grading them against each other, I said, I'll give you guys all an A.
And
I was their age.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah.
As a teacher, like they would.
Nobody, the worst they could do was fire me, and I didn't care because it only paid like $200 a month or something.
Right.
It wasn't expensive. It wasn't a valuable thing, but it was a prestigious thing. It's like I'm teaching at a university, and I'm 19.
Did most people get the A?
Everybody got an A.
No, I mean,
Like
did
1 or
anybody
2
not
people,
show up? Or?
All the times I taught for a couple of years, 1 or 2 people just didn't show up. you know, you're always going to have that.
Yeah, yeah.
One or two people just say they fuck off, but I just made it fun. You know, I was their age, and so we did a lot of cool shit and kick pads, and I taught them how to turn their hip into stuff and how to get power things. You can see them. There's something very enthusiastic about someone, regardless of what their physical ability is, getting a little bit better and seeing it. You know, even if they start from nothing and then you see just, yes, you're getting it.
Right.
And then see them beam like you get this. That to me was what I was into. What I wasn't into is people that needed to be motivated. They just didn't, they couldn't, they just half-assed things. They weren't enthusiastic. They were distracted. Maybe they were talking too much. Like, you could do all that stuff another time, but if you want to get good at this, there's only one way. You have to be really interested in getting good at it. You got to be really focused on all the things you're doing right or wrong.
Whenever I see a comedian, like you go back a year to a club, you saw a comedian, he's a newer comedian. If he has been going up at least twice a week, and it's 52 weeks later,
right? It's
fun to see that type of improvement.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, wow, like, yeah, maybe I've gone up, 300 times since you've been here?
Yeah.
But you can tell if they haven't.
Do you have any friends that you knew when you were professional and they were open micers?
Oh, you mean?
Like, they're professionals now.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
you were a full-blown professional. You met them when they were an open micer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it leads me to a little plug.
Oh, you want a plug?
It does look like you set me up for it. But Blake Wexler is a comedian. He's a professional comedian now. And he met me when he was like 15 or 16 at Helium. And he was wearing a Conestoga shirt. That's where I went to high school. So, of course, you're like, and he said he's a new comedian. So, right away, went to your high school and he's doing stand-up comedy. He was with his dad. We talked. Like, I go, hey, if you want to come back with your friend Saturday, I said, here's my number. I'll put you on the guest list. And then, year goes by. I was in Philly. I called him. I said, hey, Blake, thanks for, it was whatever it was. It would be a message I was leaving. Hey, I got your friends on the guest list for Thursday. And then there's these messages. Then we became good friends. So he told me I saved every one of your messages about a year ago. I've had people say that before, but then they go, oh, they got erased, or when they, I got my computer and I lost them. He came over about a year ago with 50 messages. And so we put them on a CD and put them on iTunes, and it's 12 years of messages from Todd Glass to Blake Wexler, simple name. But the reason I think it's really pure, which is a weird way to maybe say it, but it's just from me to him. Like, now, there was probably 3 or 4 at the end where I knew they'd probably end up on there. But I mentioned it. I go, now this whole thing is fucking ruined because I know you're making that CD, so now I'm aware of it. But most of them, I never thought they'd end up on a CD. So it's just me talking to Blake, and it sort of tells our friendship. You see the friendship grow, but it's they're some of them are very funny to hear them years later.
It's a cool thing to watch someone like that become a pro, right? And just see them when they're first starting out, and that first year or so, who the fuck knows what's going to happen? You decide I want to try stand up, and then you start going to open mic nights. That first year, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, you might eat it a couple of times, and Dad be like, all right, this is just too painful. Fuck this. And what other job is that painful when you fuck up?
I know. I couldn't even think about getting a weekend. Like, because you did the MC, it was on Wednesday, and then sometimes you would host. That was like a thing. You got to host the open mic night and then do Thursday Best of Philly. But getting a weekend, I remember once sitting around with my friend. He goes, do you think you'll get a weekend ever? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I didn't know why I didn't think I'd get a weekend. I mean, I know,
but that's what you think when you're first starting out, right? Like, oh, no.
Some door guy told me he goes, you're going to get a weekend.
Wow.
You know what I thought? He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I thought, because I'm not going to be so stupid to think, oh, Tony knows I'm going to get a weekend. But he probably did know. He was around comedy a lot. He probably knew something, Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be, he'll get a weekend, I got a weekend, all right.
Yeah, man. When you're talking to an open micer, it's like you're talking to someone who's going to make a journey. That, like, if you had 100 open micers, what are the odds that they become professional? They make it to being a working stand-up. I'm guessing. I want to guess it's 1.
Oh, out of
100.
Well, it's when you say it that way, it is a bigger number. But if you take an isolated area like Philadelphia or whatever city, and you go, how many of these? When you go into a town, sometimes I'll know like some of the newer comedians. They hang out a lot. Sometimes they work at the club because they're new. But there's like a group of them, and out of that group, whatever city it is, I always think somebody's going to. Maybe 2 even, maybe 3.
It's usually
at different levels.
1 or 2 at each level, but there's always 100 guys, right? Like, I started out with
Maybe I'm just
Fitzsimmons.
meeting the cream of the crop.
Well, you definitely are if it's in L.A., right?
No, I'm talking about like when you're on the road,
Philly or New York. Oh, when they come in, you mean?
Like Bloomington has a scene,
Right.
and you think a lot of those people, 2 years later, like, wow, look how good they're doing, and they're in New York now, and they're so in a small group, but probably on all the comedians in every city that are doing it right now. I guess it's a lot lower.
Yeah, if you what I'm saying is, from the person who makes it on stage the first time, every week at the Comedy Store, you're dealing with how many? What do they get?
I get
on?
it now.
16 people in a night, probably more. 20 people on an open mic night because they do 3 minutes each. Let's just say they get up 20 people a night. How many of those people are going to become professionals? It might be 1 out of 100. It might be.
Yeah, on that. Because, and then how many people, some people go up once.
Yeah. Open mics are crazy. I encourage anyone, if you're not even into doing stand-up, just to go watch an open mic night and see the mania and the madness. And what some of it is just someone who what you're seeing is potential, right? Or no potential. You're seeing one of those 2 things. Either you see someone where you go, that person is fucking never going to be a stand-up comedian. There's no way. There's just no way. Like, there's no way. And then you're seeing, maybe. Oh,
Right.
yeah, she was funny. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes when you say the first one where you go, no way, it's not even they did it bad. It's never based on, we're basing it on something, it's still a guess, but we're basing it on something pretty fair. It's not like their joke didn't go over and we're going, oh, no. Sometimes it's the vanilla-ness of the personality might not lend itself to being,
Well, it's just like, sometimes their brain's broken, too. Some people their brain's not working right. And they can kind of get by in regular life, kind of. But you see them like express themselves like, oh, I'm going to prepare something and bring it to the stage. And then people go, what in the fuck is going on in your head, sir? There's those people. And you're just this is not going to happen. Maybe they might be perfect for music. They might be perfect for being in the front of a punk band or something. But there's just, certain people. Like, I think it might be 1 out of 100. Like, if you bomb on stage with a song, it's got to be pretty bad, too. Right.
But you have like the others. Which,
Obviously, the people that have, just so nobody thinks we're being babies here, the people that have physical risks, that's a way worse thing, right? First responders, police officers, things along those lines.
Oh, even in sports, I always say, I could never do it because in a comedy show, and often it happens, everybody can win in one night. Like if you're on the road and you're with 2 other comedians or 3 or whatever, there's so many nights where everybody wins. You do great. But in the sports, as I'm always thinking, I can't, the pressure, and I'm not even into sports. I don't give a shit about sports. But when I watch a game, I get a stomach ache for the other team. I'm like, I can't take it.
You know what? Some of comedy is a sport. You know why? It's because, like, you're attacking things that aren't there, right? Like, you're going after stupid laws and dumb shit that happened. And, like, you're literally, by using your words and the way you're describing things, you're literally having a little battle with something that's not even there.
I call them verbal, I hope I say it right, verbal shit. What's it when in prison? What do they do?
Shivs, right? Isn't it shivs? Yeah. We're so white. Shank. Shank. It's a shank.
A verbal
Wait,
shit.
don't you shiv them? Yeah. You shiv them with your shank?
We'll be back. So okay, sometimes when a comedian like has just a turn of phrase that would fucking, I always go, oh, he shivved him with his words. Like he just, a verbal shiv.
I think that was correct. I think it's correct.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
When somebody knows how to do it good.
Yeah, that's what roast battle was all about. Roast battle is essentially a sport. They would fucking mock each other's lives in jokes and be really mean. And some of it was like, oh, Jesus. They would talk about their looks like, oh, my God. Some of them, it's painful.
I went and enjoyed it. I saw it up because it's almost a parody of a roast battle. Like I saw it at the Comedy Store in the little room, and it was crazy. But so when I'm watching, I'm like, I'm too sensitive. It would crush me. It would just fucking crush me. I don't want to know the jokes that they would make. And
of course. Yeah.
Some people don't care. But to watch other people, it was exhilarating.
It's a great joke writing exercise.
It is.
And unfortunately, some people are really good at that, but when it comes to their act, they don't explore as much So think about like if you're writing about someone. Like there's some people, my point is that there's some people that I've seen that are really good at that roast battle. I've seen a lot of people do it. But then you see their set, their actual stand-up set, and like, it's missing a spark, right? There was a spark that you had when you were in combat with this other person because you knew they were going to be firing at you, so you were firing at them. And it was all in fun, but it was also a chance to flex your comedic writing skills. Well, then when you're on stage and it's just you, then is there any, where's the juice?
Right.
Are you upset? Are you excited? Are you like, what are you just like pretending it's not a big deal that you're on stage with a microphone in front of you? Because that's a real problem too. Are you pretending it's not weird that your voice is amplified? There's a
Everything you're
spotlight in your
saying
face?
should motivate someone to get, just a great way to say that, like, why are you pretending it's not cool? You don't have to jump up and down, but come on, what's going on here? Where are you?
Why are you pretending you're not fully aware that people are standing in front of you hanging on your every word?
There was a comedian like that in I won't even say the city, but they had a roast battle. A roast battle, but there were like people from the history, like Napoleon, and it was great.
That sounds awesome.
Because it was also that's why I said it was a writing sample. Because you know, if you were writing jokes, you could also make statements, political statements, and go back and no one gets hurt because you're making fun of Hitler.
Right.
But you still had to write great jokes. And one guy that did it, he was amazing. Like, what the? And I just thought, oh, he should know that he should be writing. Because his stand-up is exactly what you just said. And it wasn't, it was, but I was like, oh, this guy, I hope he knows, like, oh, that's your strong point.
Dude, the thing is, the stand-up, like, when you're doing something like that, you have a little bit more freedom. It's more open-ended. But in the stand-up, right, people are paying to see you, and you're supposed to be getting laughs. Right? And when you're not getting laughs, there's this feeling of disappointment in the audience. And when you're doing new stuff, man, there's a distinct possibility there's going to be no fucking laughs in the spot where you wanted there to be laughs. And you're like, yikes. I thought that was a way funnier idea. Or maybe I just fucked up the way I said it, or maybe I just have to stretch it out and figure out where the good spots are and then start hacking it up and editing it. You know, but this is going to be a real problem with bombing. You have to be comfortable with saying a joke that's just not that good, and some people just aren't. And so they get to that spot and they go, "Fuck that! Let's do some tried and true." Boom. Let's hit them with some proven stuff. Boom.
I know you got me nervous one night at the Comedy Store.
I did?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you were like, just everybody. You were right. You were like, okay, all new stuff. Everybody knew.
That was
And then I was like, oh shit. Oh, because we were supposed to. That was the show or somewhere. And I was like, I was up on stage. I'm like, oh shit, maybe he's never seen this one.
This is that wasn't a stand-up on the spot show. That was Nick Yusuf's show, right? His new stuff show. I think it was that.
I forget what it was, but
that show you're supposed to only work on new shit. You're supposed to only work on. We had like a weird rule where when Yusuf and I came up with it, we were like, it can't be any older than 6 weeks old. Any bit that you have to do self-police. But any bit older than 6 weeks old, you gotta.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly because I wouldn't have fought that.
That's like, a good move, right? 6 weeks. 6 weeks is like you got some time.
Yeah, 6 weeks. So you're saying it's fresh enough.
It's new enough, but it's also like you should have worked it out a little bit.
That's more than fair.
More than fair, right?
That's more than fair.
It might even be 4 weeks. 4 weeks might be the real.
You should pull it back a little if you ask me.
Pull it back a little. 3? 3 weeks?
Maybe.
Wow, 3 was dangerous.
I mean, that means you've said it 5-6 times. What more do you want?
Sometimes there's a bit that works real good and then doesn't. You ever see those bits? They just die. You're like, this one's going to be a quarterback. And then
sometimes I never know either. If I videotape myself, maybe I'd learn.
Do you record yourself audio?
I don't. And I'm so embarrassed because I know how good it is to do it. I did it 5 or 6 times in my whole career. And it did so much good that you would think because I'm lazy. You know when you know what you were just saying about you go to a joke and it's just dead, which you know it's just like I started doing this thing and it really helps me get out of those moments. So I'll hit the punchline, nothing. So whatever, I'll go like, and then it was. Well, I'll make up a punchline. It was blue. But you know what? Then I realized instantly. See, here's what I just did. Sometimes in comedy, ladies and gentlemen, you get to an end of a joke, and it's not the crowd's fault because you're great, but it just doesn't land, and it's uncomfortable for them. They feel bad for you. So what I did when I hit that period about 30 seconds ago, I just been talking nonstop ever since, and now we're here, and everybody's happy.
That's perfect. That's a perfect
They
dismount.
do it for like 15 seconds, and then they figure out. I always think, I go, so about 15 seconds ago, I hit a punch, and it wasn't your fault, and now I'm here, Everybody's great. Hey.
And then a whole new premise launches. That's like Jesus Christ. It's like building a house you're planting a seed, then you're watering the ground, and then the tree comes out. You gotta wait for it to grow, and then cut it.
Oh, you're talking about a whole not a start.
A whole new premise, like weird out there premises, or premises you've never discussed before, or things you never thought of before. You go into a whole new way of thinking about stuff.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
Fuck yeah, it's awesome.
It really is. I still get
gig.
it really is. Just and you know, with the recorder, like on the phone, that's changed. That's because I don't like writing stuff down. I could say that's changed my life.
Do you do the text, speech to text?
Yes.
Where you just talk into it and it writes your notes for you? That's amazing.
And it's every one of my, I can just put jokes on there, but if I have, the recorder, oh, that recorder, man, that just cleaned my head up.
Yeah, the recorder's giant.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, man. Anything where you can catch those slippery thoughts. Like, I think Neil Brennan said it best. I think he called his notebook, he's like, this is like a net where I catch ideas. And I was like, ooh. That is a great way of looking at it. That is a great way of looking at it, because some ideas just go away. Like, they're so profound. They're so profound, but then a couple hours later, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? That always used to get me, where I'd have this amazing idea, or what I thought was an amazing idea, and then I go, that's such a good idea, I'll remember it in the morning, and I go to sleep.
I know, I still pull that shit.
I've never remembered it.
Never. I still pull that. I go, what are you doing? If my phone, if I didn't have my charger, now I finally got a cord and it's next to the bed, so I always have a cord to plug in my phone. But never. Why do I? And it's not half the time. Never. And I still have I go out. No, because that's a good idea. Never.
Hedberg had a joke about that.
Too lazy.
Yeah, about being too lazy to get up to get a pen to write something down. So I just convinced myself it wasn't that funny in the first place. But what's great is that was a bit he did on stage, and it would kill.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do it well. I don't remember the way,
you
the
got
phrasing.
The gist. You got the gist. The used to, we were thinking, okay, I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too.
Yes.
So last night we were saying, I used to do Mitch Hedberg's. I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. I mean, I still do, but I used to too. Okay, I know. Let me back up for a second. So I do Mitch doing Rodney Dangerfield. I do Rodney if he did Mitch. I'll be like, I'll tell you the other day, guys, I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too,
That's actually pretty good.
So you do any Mitch Hedberg joke as Rodney, and it's,
And it's kills.
I'll tell you the other day, guys, Smith, I wanted a banana. I said, no, I want a regular one later, so all right. I'll do right. What are you going to do, right? So I do the used to. I hope this goes somewhere. So I did the. I'll tell you, I used to do drugs. So my friend asked me if I still do that. I go, I used to do the Mitch Hedberg. I still do drugs, but I used to too. I still do, but I used to too. There's something in there.
It's amazing that you kept it all together through that.
I did
there
for
was
that
so many
one.
used to the used to.
But it makes sense. It makes sense.
But you nailed it. You dismounted.
I shouldn't try.
Feet flat on the ground. It's a solid dismount. There's no stumble.
No, it was good.
It was very good.
Thank you.
It was very good.
Thank you.
Mitch, he's like, to me, one of the more amazing comedians ever, because what he would do was complete non sequiturs. He would go from one non sequitur to another non sequitur, nothing connected together other than here's some other shit I thought up. Here's some other shit I wrote down.
And even though not through, probably a good idea for everyone to know that does one-liners, that there's still, it has to be an essence of you in them. Like, even though his jokes didn't segue together, like they seem, there's still, you knew who he was by his jokes, obviously. Like he had he definitely had, they're not just individual jokes just glued all together.
No, they were all so silly too.
Right, exactly.
Like, that's the thing about, I've always said, like, the best way to describe him, he's like one of my favorite silly comedians.
I know, it's funny, a lot of people, you don't hear, always complimentary, of course, about Mitch, but silly, and that's what I realized later after he died, like, how silly.
He was silly.
He's so silly. That was who he was, very silly, so that's what you know about him,
He was the type of comedian, he would get into his rhythm. Like, I would listen to him a lot of times on the way to the airport, because I was, that traffic on the way to the airport's annoying. You just wanted to just chill out and giggle. So I'd put on some Mitch Hedberg and just be fucking giggling. Like, and when you're just smiling, when you're not, when he's, you know, in between punchlines, you just have a big smile on your face. Because he would put on this silly vibe, and you would get caught up in it because it was really fun. And then he had such great writing, too.
And playful. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's
and
dead.
Rodney, I think, and Rodney had a lot of that, too. You know, Rodney's a seriously underrated comedian. And his style, there was a great article about it recently. Didn't we talk about this on the podcast? That Rodney, there was an article that was written recently about Rodney. I forget who wrote it, like Esquire or one of those things. But they were talking about how long it took him to become a good comedian. That it wasn't until he was like in his 50s that he figured it out. And it's like talking about him boiling down his act and talking about how cutting all the fat out of his act. And if you go back and listen to his early performances, and you could see it was more meandering. And then towards
it was
the
more
end,
stand-up-y.
Yeah.
I realized that a few years ago, and you listen to the old ones, and he would, like, in other words, a joke could be, it was still Rodney, but it would be like, this is more of a joke a comedian would tell, not really one line. It'd be like,
right.
You know, like, you're getting old when family tells you, when their family talks in front of you, hey, hey, put Pops in the garage. We got people coming over, Pop just sits there and drools, But that was more like a piece.
Yeah.
And I forgot about that Rodney. Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of, just, there's short little stories, but they're not, and then all of a sudden, I saw him. Remember Bob Nelson?
Yes.
Bob Nelson opened for him, and then I got to meet Rodney backstage through Bob. And you know what it is when you think you know something? It applies with everything. Sexism, you think you know what it is, but you really don't. There's still a lot more to learn.
Right.
Of course I knew what timing was before I saw Rodney. I could tell you I was a comedian for 10 years at that point.
Right.
But I know what timing is. But then when you saw Rodney, I went, oh, fuck, that's timing. It was so, like, I knew what it was, but I just got a doctorate in what it was. I just saw it delivered like the best of the best of the best. And I go, now, I mean, it was just crazy with the every turn and and then just when you think, how can he take you anywhere? And then the band kicks in, and then he starts like, doing betting music. And this the other day, and my wife, and she, and then the band bump, they got bigger and bigger. Then he started singing this song because everybody sang them, but Rodney did it in his own way. He starts going, something about to dream, whatever the song is, and then he does about 10 seconds of it, and then he goes, what the fuck am I singing for? And it's like, I'm watching him, I'm going, oh my God. To you, they're just a band. But he goes, I know to this band, to you, they're just a band. But to me, they're a bunch of fucking idiots. And then the band they're taught, because they're all, musicians from that city. Obviously, they're taught,
Yeah.
So he goes, no, they'll tell you what they are. They're not. And then they all stand up and they go, we're fucking idiots.
I got to see Rodney when I was 19, when I was working as a security guard at Great Woods. Great Woods is a concert place in Mansfield, Massachusetts, and Rodney was there in the bathrobe era. Did you see bathrobe Rodney?
He went out on stage in a bathrobe?
Naked, with a bathrobe on.
I thought like at the Improv he would show up, but you're saying he was doing this
in arenas. This place is big. Great Woods is like
don't you have to love that?
12,000 people.
Isn't that great in a way, though?
He was a fucking maniac. He was amazing. He was so free. He was hanging backstage, and apparently his cock is enormous. His cock and balls were just hanging out. He didn't give a fuck. He's just got this bathrobe on, and he's got his legs crossed, and his fucking sack is hanging down. And the security guards would be like, what the fuck, dude? I didn't see that. I only saw him. It's like a Bigfoot sighting. And I met him later in life. But to me, like in 19, I hadn't even thought about doing stand-up yet, but I was such a huge fan of it. He walked from, like you're looking down the hallway to where his dressing room is, and he walked from one room to another. It was like a Bigfoot sighting. Like I only saw him for a second, but I saw Rodney.
It's like that. It's, I said seeing Rodney was like, it's not like seeing like if you saw Paul McCartney, or you'd freak out. Yeah. But seeing Rodney was like getting to see if you saw Fred Flintstone. You can't see Fred Flintstone. He's a cartoon. Rodney is so larger than life that it was overwhelming. You weren't just taking in someone that was a celebrity and you'd seen on TV.
There he is. Look.
And there he is. There he is, like 3 feet from you, and you'd be like, fuck, that's Rodney.
What is that between his legs?
No, shut up.
Pretty sure it's balls. It's getting covered by something.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, that's his balls. That's his sack or his dick or both.
Yeah.
He's an animal.
Bob Nelson would have great stories about and they were so specific, and you knew Rodney said them, and it was just so. A couple came up to him after their wedding, and they go, "Do you know this one?"
No.
And they go, Rod, I think he was trying to gamble, Rodney, we just got married. What do you think? And he goes, you both could have done better.
What? What do you think? You both could have done better.
That's a well-disguised insult. I'm telling you.
That's a beautiful joke.
Those people won't know that it was an insult till they get in their car. Wait a second. That means he says we're both.
But what?
We're both ugly.
It's canceling out. That's playing ping pong in their head.
Wait, you both good. Who's that an insult to? That wife goes, it's an insult to you. I think it's both of us, you moron.
Yeah. That's when you find out who the boss in the relationship is. A joke like that.
Why? Who has to take? It's me.
Who's taking the hit?
Yeah.
Who feels bad about this one?
Maybe you both be honest and just admit you're both maybe not that
That's a weird
great.
thing when someone feels like they're too good looking for the other person in the relationship.
And that could they be wrong?
Yeah, they could be wrong. I mean, there are people that like different things. There's people like different looks. Some guys like big girls. Who knows? People like different shit. But if you think they don't like you as much as you like them, ooh.
Can I tell you what you do to prevent that?
What do you do?
Oh, I hope I'm answering. I hope I'm. Is that because when people tell stories, they'll be like, and everything was great. I think this is addressing what you're saying. Everything was great, and then it just he or she, whatever the relationship is, somebody else goes, and they wanted to end it. Everything was great. Well, look, because what do you want them to do? Wait, I'm not saying there's not rules and feelings and how you present it, but
Right.
I think most of the time everything is great. And then you realize one day, you wake up. And I've had it to me, I must have been on the other end of this, and
Yeah.
they just don't want to be in it, but they stay in it because that doesn't mean they don't not care about you. So they stay in it and it gets bad, you see it coming. But so I always say, I always let someone know, let them know you're not crazy. That they learn that by what you tell about past stories.
Right.
And I once said this to someone. It was very early on, but I said, I have a feeling. I practiced it in my head, and I was glad I did it. And I was like 23 or 4 at the time. I said, I have a feeling that I like you more than you like me.
Whoa.
And I said, it's okay. I go, let me say this because I don't want this to be the day where I threw you off. If I'm wrong, I really like you. So if I just read it wrong, that's great.
Right.
But if that's I don't think that's it.
Right.
I go, I won't. Of course, I'll be sad, but I won't hate you. I won't be. I'll be okay. So if it and then he was like, you're right. And because I said it in a way that he would be comfortable to say, you know what?
Right.
I put a little bit of choke, a little bit of but I was okay, and I want to know that. So that's my
Right.
answer to your question.
You don't want to be delusional.
I don't want to be delusional. I felt it, and I asked the fact that I put that preface in there. Look, I need to let you know this, not to make you feel bad, but
Right.
I do like you because I don't want to find out 10 years later. I thought you were giving me walking papers, so I had to be clear with my feelings, but mainly let that person know. And that way, I didn't end up in a relationship for another year where I knew the other person might. How could that go bad,
Right.
what I did? There's no way that could go bad.
No, especially if you're hanging out with adults, right? When I was a kid, I think one of the things that took me a long time to get past was it was always thought that if you talked about your feelings and your emotions, that was weak. That was a weakness. It's not something you did with your friends, and it's not something you wanted to do with a girl. You didn't want to talk about your emotions. You didn't want to talk about how you actually felt about things. You wanted to play it stoic. You wanted to Charles Bronson your way through life, That's what a lot of guys tried to do.
Yeah.
And that not understand, one of the big problems with people, because you don't really know who you like until you're around them for a while. You really don't. And then sometimes you're like, ooh, I'm not into this person. I'm so bored. I can't have any more of these conversations. I can't do this. I'm panicking. I got to get out. And then, but everything was perfect. Everything was going amazing. No. You thought everything was going amazing. It doesn't mean everything was going amazing. It means you didn't even check in.
Right.
Or the other way.
But
women can be bored as fuck with dudes. It's the same thing.
Course. Well, it's the same thing. That's why I always say that. Like, I'm comfortable having. The only reason I get nervous having relationship discussions when somebody's going too heavy on women are crazy. I'm like, if that was any truth to that, you look at same-sex couples. If it was true, hey, there's a lot of women that think men are crazy.
Yes.
If that was true, if there's any truth to that, it's people. There's people that are evolved, and there's people that are, have a deep level head on their shoulders, because if there was any truth that one sex was crazier, there's a science to disproving that. Then in lesbian relationships, you'd go, hey, how's your relationship? And they'd go, well, of course we argue a teeny bit here and there, but no, we're both women, so we're getting along great. No, well, we got rid of the problem. And in male-male relationships, it's the same problems. It's not like you go, oh, yeah, we don't have the crazy women, so when it's two guys dating, everything's great. No, same exact problem. So it's not the sex, it's people. Does that make it?
You're 100% correct. You could not be more correct. And there's a real problem. We got to really avoid this shit. There's people that'll say things like, women are all dumb bitches or men are all shit, and that's nonsense. These gender-based generalizations are so stupid. There's nice people that are women. There's nice people that are men. It's just there's plenty of them. Yeah. You can't have a few bad relationships and turn on other people. Every person who has the same gender. And also, take a good look at yourself. Because if you really, there's some people out there that do generalize like that. Like, look at your shit thinking that you're just diarrhea spraying out into the world. That's that's really what it is. Whether you're a sexist against women or a sexist against men, you've just such a piss poor way of looking at things. Everybody knows you're wrong. Everybody knows you're wrong. You think that, whatever it is, any generalization, whether it's a racist generalization, sexist, homophobic, it's all the same. Everybody who's listening knows what it is. You know what it is when someone makes a generalization. Like, you're not looking at it right. You don't know nice people that are black. You don't know any nice people that are black. That's ridiculous. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, how can you make this judgment when I've met so many? Like, you're not meeting enough people, or they meet you and they go, oh, this guy's a fucking asshole, so they avoid you, so everybody's got this thing that they're spreading about you.
Yeah, that's why younger people tend to, just by being around. I wish there was a place you could go if you couldn't afford college, because I don't think it's the education at college that you probably learn the most from. It's the being forced to be around other people. You go, oh, I'd rather hang out with that group that I hated because we have the same taste in music. And you learn it because you're forced to live together. Right. But wouldn't it be cool if there was where can you go if you're like, well, I don't afford college, but I want to put my kids around some parents wouldn't want to do it, but kids could do it. I just want to be around every type of person. But you don't know to do that. College, that's the thing about college. And I didn't go to college. I didn't even graduate high school. But isn't that true that that's where a lot of growing does with young kids when they're forced to be around other people?
Look, some kids, they're living with really suppressive parents, and the only way they even know who the fuck they are is if they could sleep in their own bed, open their own door with their own key, go into their own room, lie down, and then just be alone, be away from these other fucking people that are constantly giving you these rules that you have to follow and have these lofty expectations for your success, and fucking Christ, you don't even know what you want to do, and they want you to do something that's going to pay a lot of money. We're spending a lot of money to send you to school, Todd. We want to make sure that you're productive. Productive, Todd. No drinking, no gallivanting. Just in there, work. And meanwhile, you just finally get a chance to listen to some music that you never heard before and hang out with some people from some part of the country you never been. Maybe you smoke weed with them. You hang out and you're 18, 19 years old and you're just figuring out the world together. You figure out a lot
of stuff.
Yeah, and you're free of the fucking parents. That's a big part of it, man. Free of the parents. And every generation is more aware of how fucking stupid the previous generation was. Like, there was some grandpappy days back on the fucking farm when they would talk about their grandparents, and their grandparents were wiser than them. That's not the case anymore. The people today are more informed than any human beings that have ever lived ever.
By the way, you might have just said the only thing that I agree with when it comes to, because I always say, look, of course there's things we should go back and get, but mostly tomorrow's the better day. But I go, when there's something in the past that, that's true, I go, we should go back to that and learn that.
Right.
I'm not just saying, but very rarely does someone get me. Mostly I always go, no, and I look at it from another. But that is something, but it explains everything that's going on right now. That true kids, I always say kids are getting smarter than their parents.
Way smarter.
it makes me want to be like a progressive bully. Like I try to say, I said that about you once, Mark Maron, not that word, but I go, I need people that are like, I think I might have said a bully, but on the right side of history, so it was a compliment. Like
Thank you.
And what I meant is a big guy that's like, yeah, fucking, but that's what I said. So
a progressive bully.
But you
is,
still, when I say it like as a character, like you still, you have clean thoughts and you've changed your views on things. But when I say it, like I want to be so mean, like I want to be so fucking mean the other way, like just
I know what you mean.
Like Dice Clay, but just anybody. You don't want gay marriage? Die already. Go home and die.
Oh!
Why can't people live? And they get dropped dead. I hope your baby. Just the most vicious things, but all about people that won't like. All about. Does it make?
Yeah, no, there's definitely some merit in that. Just people realize how fucking stupid it is because you're mocking it so relentlessly and everybody's cheering along. And then someone who might be entertaining those thoughts is going to listen to it. There's a guy on Sam Harris's podcast this week, Waking Up with Sam Harris. His name is Christian Piccolini. And he used to be a white male supremacist, and he got recruited when he was like 14 years old and was in it for like, I think he said 8 years or something like that, and just was talking to Sam Harris about these horrific decisions that he had made in this group that he had got connected to, and they were committing violent crimes against black people and like all this, the crazy shit that he was talking about. And then you listen to him now as this guy in his 40s is like super rational and very intelligent and well-read. And it's like saying like, look, I just got caught up in this ideology. I went down this road and other people were doing the thinking for me and we were all doing it for each other. It became this horrific group think that he got swept up in. I think that's happening with progressive people too. I think there's this need to be right and to shout down each other and ruthlessly mock each other. Like that has to be used like nuclear weapons, like only in the case of like severe issues where like you've got another country that's about to develop a nuclear weapon and they're going to go after you first. Or they've already done it and you have to disarm their nukes. We've got to be nicer to each other when it comes to talking about these ideas, because every time someone from the left attacks relentlessly and ruthlessly and viciously someone from the right because of their ideas, you just start a back and forth. You're not looking at it in a way like there's got to be some way to communicate your ideas in a friendly way.
You know what I do now? And believe me, I'm guilty of this. And when I did my Netflix special to now, the way I do 4 jokes, or like I changed it because that whole thing. Look, Todd, do you want to take people with you, or do you?
Right.
Because someone said, I don't want to be Tucker Carlson to the other side, so flippant and so fucking snarky that. So I go, okay, that's maybe what I am. I don't see it when I agree with the person. So if I see someone that's snarky but says everything I agree, but I go. So I do want to sometimes bring people. So change the way you say it. Go in a little softer. Remember, you're trying to bring somebody with you and bring them over. But sometimes I want to split the difference, and I could be wrong, because sometimes I think when I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and I literally have to take a break on the podcast, about something, maybe that gives, and it's about a transgender issue, something I'm not going through, but I'm able to scream it so someone that's going through it goes, God damn it, how's he so close? Or when I can yell about a women's issue, so like, God damn it, scream at the top of my lungs, because they say scream about what you're not, because you can get angrier. Maybe I give someone their dignity back. Maybe sometimes screaming into the canyon is okay, but not to another person's face.
Right. Into the
canyon of podcasting. Or
yeah.
But when it comes, but then you have to decide, because a podcast is always a canyon. I think
but it's also you have the ability. So someone is going to attack you. Maybe the only way they have the ability is to do it in a Twitter post or a blog post. I mean, they're all people with their own opinions too, right?
Yeah.
That's
why you got to look at things. Yeah, you always. Yeah. That's why I said that's why I'm very aware of that now.
There's just way too much stupid fighting. There's debate over issues about real things. Like right now, what's going on with this? What do they call it? Walk for Our Lives. March for Our Lives.
Oh, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just real quick, because I have a few times, and there's one post I want to take down because it's a woman that's heckling me, and it turned into a sexist, words flying back and forth, and I want to take it down. If I could post why I'm taking it down. Because I think when somebody's, even when your fans are defending you, I like when someone corrects their fans. No, don't defend me with those words.
Right.
You know, don't. So you're talking about before about when the verbiage is, you know, on. So always try to go in. I think you're responsible if they're flying things back and forth and you're on a Twitter. If somebody's saying something, go in and say no. You know, the word. You don't have to start throwing around these words. It has nothing even to do with the topic. They're just that's the way they express themselves.
Well, it's like the way people disagree about things can change. Like the way they communicate their disagreement can change how it gets resolved. You know, but what always happens is if you go hard, they go hard back. And I think we're dealing with that back and forth in this country. And what I was going to say is about this March for Our Lives, is that what I'm seeing that's very confusing to me is from people who are gun supporters, like the NRA supporters, who, and some of them have even mocked these kids for getting attention by going to these marches and stuff like that. And they're saying that nobody would have heard of you or nobody would know who you are. Like, this is a ridiculous way to look at it. It's very defensive because they're feeling like someone's coming after their guns. So they're going on the attack in some ways that's just really not recommended, like the way they're doing.
It makes me numb.
They're mocking what the reason would be for these kids to be on TV that got shot at. These kids that got shot at, and they're fucking 16 years old, and they're going to be on TV, and someone's mocking. No one would know who you were if it wasn't for this thing. Like, yeah, of course. But they went through that fucking thing. They're the few kids that have gone through this thing in the country that are standing on the public stage and saying, look at us, you got to do something. You can't have the same shit happen over and over and over again. And maybe they don't have the most complicated solution, but they're right. And they're forcing people to talk. And if anybody should be forcing people to talk, it's the kids that were around their friends that got shot, who realize their fucking parents are working all day and they come home tired and no one's going to fix nothing. No one has the time. And the politicians are all in bed with the NRA and all these different organizations as if they're on the left, and everybody's beholden to their special interest groups. So these kids are seeing all this shit and they know nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. More kids are going to get shot. More kids are going to get shot. And then what do the NRA people do? They mock these kids. That's crazy.
At what point doesn't someone pull you aside and go, I don't believe in violence, obviously, in relationships, but in the old movies when somebody would have to, stop!
Backhand, right?
Yeah,
that's
just
the best.
Stop!
Full disdain for any retaliation. You're not even trying to hit someone with the best part.
Just, psh.
You know, you hit someone with the back of your hand. The back of your hand is generally more sensitive. It's like it hurts. Like if you hit someone in the back of your hand, you can hurt your hand. Like I know a lot of guys who've broken their hands in a fight because they hit someone with a spinning back fist with the back of their hand. It's not protected. So that's just letting someone know I'm so
and by the way,
of you.
Since we were just saying how to be more peaceful, what I'm saying is when somebody, it doesn't even mean I'm not saying don't have a conversation and don't disagree. Of course I'm not. We're saying the person that wants to shake you and stop you is once you start making fun of these kids. Someone even that agrees with you that there shouldn't be any, isn't there someone on that side that can go, stop? And I guess there are, but when they say, you know, you should learn, see, Rick, what's his name? Rick, the guy who said if the kids should, instead of looking for someone else to solve their problems, they should learn CPR. Rick Santorum.
Yeah.
That makes you not like.
That doesn't even make sense if he actually said that.
No,
that
because
doesn't even make sense.
Doctors were tweeting it brilliantly, like, you know, like that's, like, so you're saying John Lennon would be alive if Yoko Ono knew CPR? Is that what you're saying, Rick?
Yeah, you just got to use CPR to repair that blown out liver.
And they explained that to him. But then, you know, you talk about combating kids. I thought that was a great way. Just some really clean tweets from doctors, breaking it down very cleanly. This would not, it doesn't even make any sense.
Rick Santorum is a Republican?
Uh-huh.
So there you go.
I think. So,
but if I could just stop, just one thing I really feel like is really important to this. I think both the people on the right and the people on the left have way more in common than they have apart. And I think that a lot of the battle that people on the left have is they've chosen to be on the left, the same with people on the right. They've chosen to be on the right. So anything that happens on the left, they completely disagree with. They immediately go, oh, that's a left-wing liberal idea. And they just have these little back and forths with each other that are completely unnecessary. I think the majority of people just want everybody to get along, not have crime.
You think Bernie Sanders maybe could have done that? Not could he have won, but what would happen if he got...
The problem with Bernie is the same reason why he let those Black Lives people take his mic and start screaming into the thing like, hey, buddy, can't do that. You're running for fucking president, and you're showing right here that people can just storm the stage and take the microphone from you. Like, you should say, I would love to have a dialogue with you. Let's do it publicly. Let's schedule it now. We'll come back, we'll get a large group of people, and I'll speak with you on this stage if you represent this very important political movement. But here's what you can't do. You can't disrespect this campaign speech because you're literally stopping people from ever voting for me if I let you do it. Because that's the fact.
What if
people
he said,
watched him do that and they go, you can't let kids just take over your show. You can't. You're the guy who's supposed to be running the country. You can't even run this fucking thing. You got this one thing. You're standing on a stage in front of 300 people. 3 of them just took your mic. Congratulations. You don't have leadership ability. It's right there.
What about other than that?
That's a big part. That's big. That's not good. That's not good. But you know what? In the moment, he made an error. Doesn't mean that's who he is. Part of the problem is people are judging you by these moments that you have, right? And it doesn't define him. He might have done that and go, well, I was just trying to be nice. I didn't expect that. I thought security was going to get them out of there, but they didn't. They didn't. They wound up on the stage with him screaming. I thought
maybe I've seen him do when he did those type of things a few times.
You want to see the video? Want to see it? It's kind of interesting.
I thought it was his way of saying, look, I get it. What it must feel like to not be able to be heard. And it's not my fault that no one's ever listened to you so far. But what do we have to do? And then maybe he feels they go up and they I want a sane person would lead. It would lead a sane person when you ignore that long to just grab a mic. And maybe he goes, I have to be a part of letting this person spill out a little.
Yeah, but the problem is then who doesn't spill out? Everybody can spill out. Everybody can jump up for their own cause, whether it's white power or fucking Jews' lives matter, whatever it is. You could just decide that you have a group now, and your group may very well be valid. But you can just decide now you're just going to yell out whenever there's some sort of a political speech, and then it'll be your chance to talk. You're just going to take the mic and make it all about you.
Yeah, there's got to be some civility.
There are a lot of things we need to be concerned with. We need to be concerned with war. We need to be concerned with poverty, education, healthcare, all these different things. But you can't just represent each one of these very, very important groups and jump on stage everywhere and start yelling.
Do you know what I thought?
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I should be just done with this.
No, why?
It's because the subject is like, it gets so exhausting.
I know. Let me add one more thing. No, because by the way, you have these theories in your head, and then sometimes somebody will respond and blow it out of you, just on your own. Like, I never thought about that. But I had this theory. It was a weird way that I thought about it. Well, 2 things. One, kids do. I'm stealing from the act a teeny bit, but just because it's a stat I use in the act.
Right.
Kids do, if there was a Yelp review, young adults have an amazing Yelp review for being on the right side. Who they root for, I think, music.
Well, you're dealing with some left-wing Democratic out here kids. Like, what, you ever talk to some kids from Alabama?
Well, I'm talking about on the masses of kids that march.
Oh, the ones that march.
The ones that march, the ones that get involved. If you go back and look at, Kent State or, I'm sure we could pull up 50. But so with that said, now I'm not saying we shouldn't doubt them. If I had a gun to my head and someone said, if we had a crystal ball, are they making the right choice about Bernie Sanders, these kids? And I go, let me ask you, I got to talk about that for 5. I got to watch a campaign. I got to watch a debate. I can't. How's he going to handle public policy? How's he going to? I can't just. They go, we're going to shoot you in your head. I go, kids, overwhelmingly kids like him. Yeah, he's going to do the right thing. And I think if there was a crystal ball, here's my theory. But I don't know. I've never said this, I think, out loud. That maybe 50 years from now, just like we're learning about history, they would talk about him in the way that, this guy came into office, picture kids, and they're telling him why maybe 2022 started to be these good times. And they're talking about history, and they, well, a guy came into office, and he really didn't know anything about he didn't really know about, He was not, he didn't know about war. He didn't know about, and no one thought he could really do it. But he was one thing that you wouldn't think would answer our economical problems. You can be a nice-hearted person, but that's not going to answer your economical problems. But it ended up doing that because he did truly treat everybody kind. And it ended up that when people started to be treated fairly, the world worked better with less depressed people. I'm not saying everybody, but people, we torture people. If we had someone in power that was overwhelmingly kind, and people felt the wrath of that almost very quickly, maybe we go, and then you know what? No one ever thought this. Then some of the economical problems worked themselves out. Now that is based on no
science.
No matter. Well, yeah, I'm acknowledging that, but that was in my head.
See, the economy is apparently a very complicated thing that can be interpreted many ways. Like, there are many people right now that would tell you the economy has never been better. Stock market's booming. Black people are more employed today than ever in history. And these are like the MAGA people, right? They'll jump on that. And other people will tell you, no, we're sitting on a bunch of huge bubbles, a commercial real estate bubble and credit bubble and all this different shit that could go down at any moment. There's all sorts of problems. We're getting automated cars soon. It's going to put thousands of people out of jobs, if not millions. It's hard to figure out who the fuck's right. It's hard. When you talk about like a dummy like you or myself and trying to prognosticate, like what would make people successful and what would make people not. I don't know about the economic part, but what I do know is as long as you have a person who's kind but also firm, like a person who's kind, but you're not worried about them if something happens with China or Russia. Like, we live in a crazy world. We live in a world where there's really basically 3 superpowers, but one motherfucker of a superpower, and that's us. But we're run by a guy who used to host Celebrity Apprentice, okay? Like, it's gotten super squirrely. It's super squirrely. And there's all these other people that are other superpowers that are going, what's going on over there? That place don't look so fucking healthy. That place looks a little fucked up right now. And this is like they're expelling Russian diplomats and all this crazy shit's going down. And Putin just won another election. And we're watching this thing go down between the top 3 superpowers, and one of them is run by a maniac. Maybe 2 of them are. But one of them is run by a guy we know is a maniac, and we put him in there. And a lot of people are still going along with it, and they like it.
So I get a question for you.
Okay.
With no, not like snarky or anything, because I was trying to think, there's more things you said we have in common than there's got to be some commonalities.
Freedom's number one.
What would be one that you could because I always think anything I can defend Trump on, even if it's stupid, I go out of my way to defend it. One time someone, it doesn't matter what it was, there were 2 times, and I did. I went, no, he didn't do anything, but what's something positive about Trump or what they want, like a bill they want to pass or something they want to do that you think, I'm okay with that? Like, what are some of those things? Are there any?
As far as bills?
Yeah, something you could be positive, meet in the middle. And
I haven't seen anything that made me very excited. I've seen more things that made me very nervous. The offshore drilling, that makes me very nervous. Obviously, those things break sometimes. We've had a few of them in our lifetimes. The Alaska one, that was a big one. I remember that it happened right when I was in high school. Or no, I was right when I was starting to do stand-up. That's what it was. Like, literally right around then, the Valdez had crashed. And leaked all that oil and just destroyed this delicate ecosystem with fucking millions of gallons of oil. Or whatever it was, how many thousands of gallons or whatever the fuck it was. But that they're gonna have more offshore drilling. That scares the shit out of me. They're getting rid of certain public parks and shrinking them and opening up these drilling these areas for drilling and natural resources that make people very nervous that in doing this they could be damaging rivers. And that these delicate ecosystems where people go and hike and camp through, and they're going to close these down. That's the real concern. The real concern is that people are going to somehow or another, we're going to suffer so that some companies can profit incredibly off of natural land, natural resources that are on public land. That's a big fear, because that's some shit that is really unusual about this country, and some shit that Teddy Roosevelt saw way, way in advance. He saw the benefit of doing this, of having these massive national parks.
I haven't hit a pot.
Yeah, sure.
But wait,
some in those, grab one of
what
those.
about positive, I was asking? Because
That's
you're saying
negative.
find a commonality.
But that's the number one negative. All this social stuff, I feel like the most hilarious thing is that Kim Jong-un actually wants to talk to him. It's like, this guy's so crazy. Maybe I'll just talk to him. I mean, like,
wait, he wants to talk.
Nobody else wanted to have meetings with that guy,
I think
right?
he's wanted to talk to a president for the longest time, and
They would talk to him.
right, because they don't want to give him that photo opportunity at the very least.
That's hilarious. They're worried about their Facebook page.
Sure.
Would we witness that if they talked?
Fuck yeah, we would witness it. And Trump would tower over him. It would be so creepy. Trump's a big guy. And you see what happens when, have you ever seen pictures of him with Dennis Rodman? Did you ever see pictures of Kim Jong-un? I'm good, dude. Kim Jong-un is a huge basketball fan, apparently, and loves Dennis Rodman. So Dennis Rodman goes to North Korea, parties with him.
Oh, right.
Dennis Rodman, like, if Trump was smart, I know Trump hired Omarosa, Trump should definitely hire Dennis Rodman. Fucking 100%. Like 100%. Say, Dennis Rodman, please, would you be my emissary? Look at that. Look how big Dennis Rodman is. That's a large fellow. And he's not even big compared to, like, a really big guy, right? Like LeBron?
What
Yeah,
if
he's
King,
pretty big, but
what's his name?
Right.
King Jong what?
Kim Jong-un.
I still can't say it.
See, get a picture of Kim Jong-un with Dennis Rodman.
What if he
Yeah.
wore, like, you think it would be bad if he wore, like, foot-high platforms?
There they are together.
But he denied it.
Yeah, he probably would.
And he had long pants trying to cover them.
Well, he's Korean. Well, he's North Korean. There's some Korean folks that are pretty big. I remember when I was a kid, the kid who won the heavyweight national title was named Jimmy Kim. He was a big Korean kid. Big heavyweight kid who was really good.
6'5".
Yeah, so I don't know how big Kim Jong-un is, but I bet he looks tiny compared to Dennis Rodman.
2'3". I just looked it up on my phone.
Wow, that was quick. I think it would be a weird meeting, but it might actually be okay. It might be good. Those people something's got to break over there. Like, what they're doing is just insane. The way they keep those people essentially hostage. There's no food. The people that have escaped have had horrible fucking parasites in their body, and
See, I feel bad. I don't know.
a couple guys escaped and got shot at out on the border. Fascinating footage,
So
man.
you're saying they keep them hostage. Who are you talking about?
The people of North Korea. They're essentially held hostage. I mean, they're trapped by dear leader. You know what they have to do? Like, when the dad died, these people were all weeping in the street, and they had to weep, like, outwardly, loudly, as long as they could do it. And if you stopped weeping early, you'd be punished. And people who they felt weren't weeping enough got 6 months in jail. It's a crazy place, and everyone turns on everyone. Everyone rats everyone else out on everything they do. You're supposed to meet together. You go in front of these people, and you rat each other out for all the different things you do. Michael Malice has a great book about it. Is it called Dear Reader? Is that the name of his book?
I think it's Dear Leader.
Dear Leader or Dear Reader? Why do I feel like it's Dear Reader? He's a funny guy, Michael Malice, but knows a
you ever
lot
feel
about
like-
North Korea.
You ever hear something you're like, I should know that? Like, I should know
I
that.
should know it too. That's one of the
Well, you
beautiful
do
things
know
about
it.
this podcast is just being able to talk to someone.
You're right.
It is Dear Reader. Being able to talk to people on this podcast and, get like a little quick 3-hour
That's
crash
the way I like
course
it.
in what the fuck's going on in North Korea. So Michael was amazing for that. And you know who else
Oh,
was
he
great
was
for
in
that?
here?
Henry Rollins was. Henry Rollins went over there as a tourist. He wandered around over there. That guy's an animal. That guy goes everywhere.
And what he just went over to what was was there a purpose?
Henry Rollins just picks a spot on the map. You should listen to his podcast he did with Ari Shafir. That's the one that really got me. I mean, I changed the way I look at Henry. I always liked his music. Always liked his spoken word stuff and his acting stuff and just his attitude. Just no bullshit sort of a guy. He's got a little saying that he put on the back wall of one of the clubs that I worked, one of the theaters that I worked, about the people that work there. How you're the lucky one, so you should be very thankful that these people who work way harder than you make way less money than you. And I'm like, that's a guy that's like looking at it the right way. So he takes a fucking spot points it down on the map, and he's like, okay, let's try Bahrain. And he just fucking travels to Bahrain. You know, he'll go to the middle of Africa, he'll go to Cameroon. He just travels there. He doesn't know anybody there. He buys water when he gets there, brings his fucking camera and some clothes and a laptop. And he takes pictures, and then he writes.
And he doesn't do any shows or anything.
He's a fucking animal, dude. He's crazy.
No
He doesn't
shows?
do shows anymore. He does spoken word performances. He doesn't do any music anymore. He says, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And just writes books. And just writes a lot of articles. Writes articles for like a bunch of different publications. But I mean, he's super prolific, and I really enjoy his writing. His writing is it's crisp, it's energetic. It's like he writes like the way he talks and the way he behaves. Like he appreciates your attention span. You know, he's enthusiastic about what he's talking about, and he's got some shit to say. Bam.
Well, it sounds like something. I'm not a good reader, but I could get it on books on tape because just hearing it direct. Yeah, because I like when someone speaks to me very specifically. And, I get lost very easily.
Me too. What did I have to say? Oh, about Rollins. Hey, he went to North Korea too. He's an animal. The guy went everywhere.
Like, how long will he go somewhere like that?
A couple weeks, whatever the fuck he wants. He's Henry Rollins.
And he has money, so he can stay in a nice hotel.
You do whatever he wants. There's no nice hotels. There's places where there is no nice hotels.
Really?
There's no nice hotel. You're not living in the lap of luxury in Cameroon. It's like, you know, you take what they got and, you know, you just hang with the people. You be like the locals, you know, meet some cool people, hang out with them. That's the reality. The guy was just, you know, feeling his travel oats and really got into it. And now it's like it's recreation. It's not just recreation, you know. It's a recreation, but it's also like a life perspective altering burst that you give yourself. You know, you go to Pakistan. You're wandering through the streets of Karachi in Pakistan. You're like, what? How did I do this? Like, this is crazy. And then he's got to actually survive. He's got to get out of those places.
Man, I don't know if I could. I like have so much I mean, I know who he. After you go through something like that, your spirituality, your and that part I admire, but then doing it, I don't want to be in, like, you have to be uncomfortable and hot and
you know what I mean. You got to be uncomfortable, for sure. I mean, he's gone everywhere,
but
yeah,
I'll just watch the documentary.
There's something about going to those places, though, right?
Oh, of course. Even a few places I've gone.
Do you ever go camping?
Uh-huh.
When was the last time? When I was 2.
Maybe. No. About a year ago.
Did you?
A year ago.
Where'd you guys go?
Went to, I shot a pilot. That sounds so, called Camping with Todd.
Oh, really?
And we shot it up. It was me, Zach Galifianakis, and John Doerr and Eddie Pepitone. And
man, that sounds awesome.
Close to letting it happen. You know what's weird? We didn't end up, we shot the pilot, even a bad pilot, but that's the premise. I really did think, and I don't ever think this, but once in a while I do. I'll just be honest with my thought. I'll be like, I think this is going to sell because it's just camping with Todd. It's like you're around a fire, people are comfortable, they talk, you have a musical performance.
Who was playing the guitar?
That was John Doerr, but he was just being silly.
Okay.
And
as long as he's only being silly. And I will not tolerate some real live singing by a fire.
And then at the end, we had someone come out with like a trumpet and a guitar, and they did a real song, Kumbaya, so public domain. And then we tried to sell it, and no one was really interested. So it's okay, Do
you know what is that thing that people do where they like hire someone to play acoustic guitar and sing songs in a restaurant, and they like walk over to a table? Have you ever seen that before?
Oh, like a mariachi, or
not even a mariachi?
Oh, just a guy with a guitar.
I was at a restaurant the other day, and this woman, she had an amazing voice. She was singing that Dolly Parton song, Jolene, and she like just out of nowhere. Like I went to the bathroom, came back. This lady singing a song. Like, I didn't even, what happened here?
Right.
Magicians used to do that.
Oh, that was the worst, dude. That's the worst.
Wait, who did that?
They would interrupt conversation. You'd be in the middle of a conversation. I'd like you to pick a card. What?
Oh, whoa.
Fuck, man. Come on. I'm not interested. Thank you. But if you say thank you, you're the dick. Like, I just came here to order food. I don't want to do tricks. Like,
Even though I love close-up magic. I really do. To me, it's the only magic there is. But yeah, if you're in the middle of a conversation,
Yeah, I mean,
you
unless
feel
it says,
you really do
like,
feel
magic
horrible.
and meat. If that's the name of your place, it's magic and meat, and everybody knows that you're
gonna meet a
eat,
magician.
and that the magician is gonna come over and come to the table and do his stuff in front of you. That is totally cool. I'm not against that. Like knowing, but if you're in the middle of a conversation and the magician comes over and all of a sudden wants you to pick a card, like, come on, man, we have some shit we have to talk about. Just because we're in a public place doesn't mean you can join in. Like, we're supposed to be we're paying. We're paying here.
And then
Sit
you
down.
can either be a magician or some people would say conversation stopper.
Yes.
You got to go, what do you
Blocker.
put on your card?
Yeah.
You know.
And then it's not even his fault. It's just the job. That's his job. What is he going to do? Like, that's what they hired him for. Hey, you want to get work for us? Sure, I need a job. Okay, you're going to be a magician. You're going to walk around the tables and do magic in front of people. Okay. It's not his fault.
Right. That's why
It's the restaurant's fault.
That's why I always err on, even though I was interrupting the conversation, I get it. So I'm pretty polite and and try to enjoy it. And it's usually pretty short. But yeah, I'm always wishing, we're just into this intense conversation.
Yeah. It depends on how high you are, right? If you're high, you let the guy talk. But if you had a cup of coffee, you're like, hey, dude, I can't.
What if you give him $500?
If you own or manage a restaurant, you need a close-up magician.
You need and it's all capitals.
Listen, it's only happened to me twice ever, and it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I just feel like
You wanted it.
unless it's in the name of your restaurant, you probably shouldn't do that. It's not like something that happens a lot. It's
You
just
know there's a
something to
magician
talk shit
listening.
about. I like magicians. I love working at the Comedy Magic Club. I used to, back in the day before I used to book my own show there, when I would do a show, I would work with a magician always. It was always like one comic, a magician, and then maybe one other comic. I think that's how they did it. They do it a bunch of different ways.
Oh, yeah, in Hermosa Beach.
Yeah, that place is amazing. That place is amazing. That place is also like a museum of comedy. Inside with all they have like Popeye's outfit that Robin Williams wore. It's framed on the wall.
And those signatures in that wall, in the green room.
Yeah.
They're just it's a crazy
It is.
array of signatures on a wall from the last 35 years. Or 40 maybe.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a long time to be somewhere.
And be such a nice guy too. It's I think that's the second oldest comedy club in the world right now. I think the Ice House is #1 and Comedy Magic is like just slightly younger in terms of a club.
And then where do you go after that? The Comedy Works in Denver, pretty close.
For olders, how old is the Comedy Works in Denver? It can only be like 23 years old or something.
I thought it was like 30.
Is it? You might be right. Yeah, didn't Roseanne start there? Maybe Roseanne started there.
In Detroit, his name is in the title.
But still, we're in the 80s, right? I mean, there used to be some places. The Ice House is from the 60s. The Ice House started.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean older. I just meant next on the list, where do you go to? Yeah, these places are not.
Yeah,
big.
but I mean, there's a few of the old places that are still around. Those are like historical places. Like the Comedy Store is the most historical. But there's a lot of historical places. Helium's historical now, because how long's Helium been around for?
13 years.
Yeah, that's a spot where universally people talk about that place.
Yeah, I feel like Acme, the Acme in Minneapolis is.
Laughing Skull in Atlanta. That place is off the charts. Intimate, 90 people maybe. Have you done it?
Yeah.
Fuck.
The curtain that goes.
Amazing.
That's a good example of a room. You're going down a hallway, you're at a restaurant. Picture everyone has to go to a club for the first time. It's in the back of a restaurant. You go down a hallway, then all of a sudden, even though it's a simple room, there's a sound booth, there's lights, the curtain shuts, the lights go down. And then I think every second you're in a club like that where they have production, you're like, oh, this is something. Like the audience that might not know what to expect. Now they know it's going to be good sometimes, even before the show starts, just the way the place conducts itself. And then the house lights go out. It's like a big deal. So I love that room is.
Great spot.
I have a lot of fun in that room.
It's another one of those really intimate places. I don't even think that's 100 people, right?
80 people.
Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. Amazing. Yeah, those spots, man.
I counted. I have a clicker because I'm on a door.
Oh, you're one of those
kidding.
guys.
No, I don't.
One of
I'm
those
kidding.
guys.
No,
Didn't that happen? Someone did that, like on stage, made everybody call out a number at a club somewhere.
Oh, because probably to see like if there was more than they said.
Exactly. he was working on some sort of a door deal, and he thought there was more people in the room than the club owner told him. So he had the audience individually count out a number. I was like, what? Like, we're going to start from this table over here. We're going to move to the left. Just, you're number one. Ready, sir? Go. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And people would just, I can't wait to say my number. They'd just be sitting there, 36.
That proves that some people want to yell out. That was fun for them. No one.
Yeah.
How many people were going, oh, right, we don't need to do this?
They do, but I think it was like a 350-seat room.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Maybe
I
he
think,
didn't have the material.
maybe. It's
That was a
totally
stretch.
possible. Totally possible. But whatever it is, that's how he found out. He went through the whole room, and he got past the number that this guy said there were, and then there was like still 50 more fucking people.
I wonder if that's true.
I think it's true.
You
I think
do?
it's true. I think that's the wait staff is what told me about it, and I think they were very enthusiastic with their descriptions.
Oh, wow. So you think he caught them like a club owner trying to hide how many?
Could be.
The good clubs that have been around forever, overwhelmingly, I've had almost perfect experiences. Like the clubs that they're all pretty decent. So I
Yeah.
forget sometimes what some of the shystier ones.
Yeah.
Because you hear stories about people on the road like manipulating the money and stuff. But
You do hear that. That can happen with some clubs. I think some club owners develop a very animosity. Is that word animostic? That's not even a word. It isn't.
I know what you're going to say though.
Right when it came out of my mouth, as it was going out, I was like, "Is that a real word?"
It's a noun.
Animosity.
Yeah, I don't think you can use that as an adjective.
No, you can't. Exactly.
Towards comedy.
But they develop this animosity between each other. The club owners don't want to book you. You get mad at the club owners. Then when you make it, you're like, "Fuck that guy! I want more money. Tell him, fuck him." And there's this weird thing that happens. Like they knew you when you sucked, and then like as you're coming up, there's they don't want to pay you more, and you're like, but I make more now, I'm a headliner, and you get into this weird sort of thing with each other. I think that poisons the well for a lot of like comedian club owner relationships, but we need them so bad. Like you and I are not opening up a comedy club. It's not going to happen, right? We need the Improv. We need these clubs. You need the Ha Ha in North Hollywood. We need them. Like we all have to work together. Like we should all figure out a way to be nice to each other. Like we need each other.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
Well, that's why I try, and I not only do I try, I do it too. As much as I complain about when they do it wrong, I always spend twice as much time giving clubs that do it great
Yeah,
shout outs and throwing love their way. There's a lot do it right.
They're so important.
And you know what? When I go to
what happened?
I thought the mic was coming at me. When I go to a place like
the spray's starting to hit. Oh,
Wow.
Jamie, how dare you?
When I go to a place
That's the first.
like Portland, the Helium in Portland, Philadelphia, but where there's a manager and they run the place. Look, I know they're stressed out, but they're good at hiding it.
Yeah. They're professional.
Always, and I thought I
Yeah.
couldn't do that. I'd be frantic, but they're
Right.
always like, "Hey, sorry, no,
Yeah.
how you?" Mm-hmm. And I think, I try to go, wow, that give a club like that, when that exists, I go, I don't even know how they do it. Like it's so good. I don't know if I could do it like that.
And then there's guys like, do you remember Tom Sawyer from San Francisco?
I know of him. Yeah.
You never worked for him?
I don't think so.
Really? You never worked at the old Cobb's?
No.
The little Cobb's?
I'd once.
Did you work at Big Cobb's?
No, I had opened up I did some shows there like through, like a festival, but never through the club.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to beat on it too much. We're just so fucking lucky that we have places to do it. It's just a weird relationship that comics and
When it gets, I know when it gets volatile.
Yeah.
Yeah, because both parties have some work to do. It's really, if they were in therapy, you both got some things you can fix. And as long as, because it is true, it's like I'm not unaware of what you're saying, because there's comedians for every club owner that maybe rip somebody off, which of course they exist. There's also that comedian that thinks everybody's ripping them off and nobody is.
Right. There's both.
So
there's both. Yeah. Well, it's just that when you're not getting booked, it's real easy to develop that sort of animosity between you and a club. There's just, if you're not, you can't work and you think that other guys are not as good as you and they're getting work, and you get frustrated and you're young and dumb already, you can have that sort of weird, complicated relationship. It's just one of those weird things. The club owners and artists there's always been disputes, right? I mean, back into the day where that dude jumped off the fucking roof of the hotel next to the Comedy Store.
Oh, yeah, that was...
That was out of a protest between the comedians protesting against the club, right? They walked out. There was a strike. There was an LA comedy strike because no one was getting any money. And these clubs were smashing it, and we weren't getting any of the money. Like, there's always been that. And that still goes on today. Like UCB. UCB doesn't pay people. They don't have to. They're doing great. I mean, until someone forces them, they can keep doing whatever the fuck they want to do.
There's also there's some good blood out there too.
Sure.
But yeah, they're you know, with
there's
good
a lot
clubs.
of good little communities too, where guys put together a comedy night somewhere. You know.
Yeah, some do a great job at that. I'm always in awe of that when you go to a comedy night and someone did it, you're like,
yeah.
You know, they took a bar and made it just every little thing is right.
Sure.
Some people really know how to produce a show.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always fun to walk into that.
And they just found a good spot too. There was a good spot that I worked at only once, and it was in Encino. It was really weird. It was, I'm telling you, I mean, it was a 5-minute walk from my house. It's when I lived in Encino. I lived off of White Oak, and I could just walk down there and go to this weird comedy club. I never worked there. The entire time I lived there, I never worked there. I did one set there, and I was like, what is this place? This place is weird.
What club?
I don't remember the name of it, but it was a bar in the front, and you'd go past the bar to this back room, and it was like all people that I had never seen do stand-up. I'd never seen them at the store, never saw them at the Laugh Factory, never saw them at the Improv. It seemed like they had either just started or they were crazy. It was maybe it was the night that I was there, but I was like, this place is nuts.
And how long ago is this?
More than 20 years. Yeah, this was like 95, I think. Yeah. It was weird. It's a weird little comedy club.
Like there's this whole another world.
Yeah, there's worlds out there, man. There's like, and if you go like into Orange County and into San Diego's got its own fucking scene.
Right.
You know?
Santa Barbara had like
this Santa Barbara. Yeah, all these different places. Santa Barbara, I don't think has that comedy club anymore. I heard that comedy. See if Santa Barbara has a comedy club.
That thing once a month they do. I did it about. It might have been like 6 months ago.
San Francisco has a scene. They got a scene. Seattle's got a scene. You know, there's some scenes out there. There's some comedy scenes. It's just like how many of them are like really thriving. It takes a lot of club owners, man. That's the thing is what I'm saying to these people that don't get along so good with club owners. If they're not doing it, we're not gonna. Comedy Hideaway in Santa Barbara, it says closed right now. Hours, does it mean closed forever?
No, it's 1 p.m. on Wednesday.
Okay.
Oh, he'll do random shows like
1 p.m.
in different. He still does. He still has shows. It's just always under Comedy Hideaway, and that's where you found out. Oh, he's doing it there. He's doing it there.
Oh, okay. Oh no. Oh, I get it. So it's a hideaway. So it's like a gig. Like, oh, he goes to different spots. Oh, okay. So
sometimes he'll be in the same spot for the weekend. Sometimes it bounces around.
Oh, okay.
I know. I'm his manager.
I'm telling the kid, he's got to be more specific with his social media marketing. Come on. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like that. But what makes a scene is a club owner. Like Wendy. Wendy from the Comedy Works in Denver. She makes the scene. That's the club owner. She's the one who puts her finances at risk. She's the one who manages it. She runs 2 clubs. And in those 2 clubs that she runs currently, she created the Denver scene. Mitzi created the LA scene at the store. I mean, Mitzi's guidance, what she tolerated, what she enforced, and what she preferred, and who she gave enthusiasm to. She shaped. She shaped so many comics, man. You know, so there's a few of those club owners that are like super, super special, like really, really important people. They create an environment where shit pops out of.
I know. I say it's the closest thing, like knowing how to present something, especially when it's comedy. I'm in awe of whenever somebody, you know.
Do you ever think you would do that? I mean, you've designed them. Do you ever think you would?
I don't think I'd want to own a club because I get it. Comedians can be
a nightmare.
Hard to deal with.
Some of them are just crazy.
Yeah.
Some of them you just can't do it.
I get it. Or I bet. Well, you know what? The other reason I was close once, maybe, but because let's say there's somebody I like as a comedian, but maybe they trash a hotel. I don't need to know that, and then be mad at them. Oh, what happened? How come you don't talk to blah 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 anymore? Because I make my club in Philadelphia real nice, and then he went in and You know, they tore the curtain down, and I don't want to not like him for that. So let me not own a club and deal with anybody I know on a business level.
That's a good point. That's a very good
people
point.
People do it, and it's hard, but they'd empathize with what I'm saying more than anything. So it also says we're not delusional when we complain about clubs, because it says, yeah, we get it. There's some when they do it right, there's some comedians that shit on it. They ruin a condo that they're trying to make nice. Well, I get it, but overwhelmingly, it's probably it's trying to be fair.
No, you are trying to be fair. There's just a certain amount of people that are nuts. They're gonna fuck places up. They're gonna ruin things. They don't give a shit.
Or own a club, or whatever they do.
Ruin the relationship that the club has with some other business. You know, it's just comedians are crazy.
Here's me on the phone. What? He shit? What for? What? And that's not even normal.
That's not even normal is a good one. Yeah.
I mean, I know he's crazy. And then somebody that he said he wanted to pay for the steam cleaning. Well, I don't know. We'll get new carpeting.
Yeah, it's diarrhea, man.
You said sprayed diarrhea before. I love it. You know why? Because that's, to me, if you're saying the wrong thing.
That's what it sounds like.
Just you're shitting diarrhea all over everybody.
But that's not even your fault with a lot of people. A lot of people, it's like they don't probably realize what they're doing. They're doing it, and they think they're right, but they're just looking at it from their own personal, selfish perspective because they're excited about what they're saying and because they're engaged in a contest. It's not just that they're talking about stuff. They're engaged in a contest they're trying to win. And that's where the diarrhea comes out. They're just throwing it at you and getting in your face. It's like, ugh. This is a contest, and they'll suck you in. Suck you into it. See, that's what I think one of the big things is wrong with people today, and it's been wrong of me in the past. You get into these conflicts for no fucking reason. It's not worth it. There's no fun in that. It's stupid. If you want to get in conflicts, you should be doing difficult shit with your life. There's a lot of different difficult things to do. Don't get in arguments with people over
Have you
nonsense.
done it in the past ever?
For arguments with people over nothing? Yeah, for sure. Fuck yous in the car window, No, fuck you, fuck you. You feel like such a loser after you get out of there. Like, what did I even say? Ugh. Yeah, we've all done that. Somebody cuts you off or someone's on their phone, they almost slam into you and you freak out, and they give you the bird and you're like, fuck you. And yeah, for sure.
And now almost zero?
Almost zero. Almost zero. Most of the time I'm pretty cool. It's a matter of always thinking about it. It's a matter of always recognizing, like, these are just stupid impulses. Don't just follow any childish impulse like some 13-year-old who's got his first boner. Like, use your fucking brain. Don't yell. Just use your brain.
I just, more than anything, because it's usually not even involving me when I still witness the finger out the window. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I always go, from a calm place, who are you? And you know what? I've seen it, a civil person that probably is about to sit down at a restaurant, and probably a relatively nice guy, but if you're 40 years old or 20 or whatever age, the younger, the more understandable. But when you see, let's go with a 40-year-old putting his finger out the window, fuck, I go, who are you? Where are you going? How can you be at the most value to your children's lives if that's the way you express yourself? Don't tell me, I'll do that, but I'm a good... No, that's got to leak into everything you do. You're putting your hand out the window, 40, fuck you! I'm like, who are you?
Who are you? You should treat everybody in the other car as if they're a giant, friendly linebacker. Like, don't ever say I'll fuck you up. Don't ever say I'll kick your ass. Treat them with, like, have a little bit of fear of them. Don't want to be mad at you. Lay back. That's how you should treat everybody. If we all just did that, we'd all get along great. You don't look at some giant ass. I go to this gym. These NFL players go there. And it's hilarious, man. I'm like, excuse me, pardon me, woohoo. I'm like ducking under dudes' elbows and shit, trying to get to the weight stacks. They're enormous people. I mean, some of these guys are like 6'4", 300+ pounds, just enormous fucking people.
Just show a little.
Have a little respect. If those guys were in cars all around you, you wouldn't be yelling, fuck you, pull over, pussy, pull over. You wouldn't do that because these guys will smash you. They're not even the same thing as you.
The reason that it makes me laugh, that behavior, is because it's not always a maniac in real life, but they should see their behavior as maniac-like. Because it is. It's like...
Do you know where it comes from?
What?
Do you know where it comes from?
Just not being able to express yourself?
No. When you're in a car, you're worried. Your senses are ramped up. Like if 10 is like full awareness, you're at like 6 or 7. Where in normal life you're like at 1. Like you're already like kind of wrapped up because everything's moving fast around you and trying to stay calm. And someone's doing something or trying to get in your lane. Oh, you fucking piece of shit! You're ramped up already.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why when you're late. When you're late for something, even me, and I'm a pretty civil person, and I try to stop it. But if I'm super late and nervous, I will say to the person doing the most mundane thing, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Exactly.
Go!
At
least I never.
Go, pussy. Go.
I will say this.
Go into traffic.
0 out the window. 0.
That's good.
I'm talking about this is in the kid. But even in the contents of your own car, you have to be. You should be proud of your behavior. But at least I know well enough when I'm doing that. That's got to be for me, and I should work on that too.
I had a dude scream at me and take his shirt off to show me his tattoos.
That's just sad.
And then he called me a rich piece of shit. I was not rich at the time, but I did have a white Suburban. And I guess white Suburban made you think, I mean, I wasn't famous at the time. He didn't know who the fuck I was. But I don't remember what it was about. But I remember the dude took his shirt off to show me his tattoos. And I started pointing at him and laughing. I'm like, ah! I go, did you take your shirt off to show me your tattoos so that I'll think you're a tough guy? Is that what you just did? I'm like, that is hilarious. And so I'm yelling this at him. And he's getting more and more red in the face. And I go, that's hilarious. He goes, I'll fucking kick your fucking ass, you fucking faggot. You rich piece of shit. I'm like, rich piece of shit. Wow. Bye. And I just drove. At least I was thinking, at least I'm driving this big ass truck. If like he slams into me, he's gonna get fucked up. Like this thing's huge.
Nobody is ever ready for like to be called out because he knows why I took his shirt.
He's so stupid. He thought I'd be scared of him because he's got tattoos everywhere. Meanwhile, as soon as he took his shirt off, I was convinced I could fuck him up. I was like, this dude doesn't work out. There's no way he knows anything. There's no way. I mean, he was just like a guy. You know, he wasn't like a scary guy, but he had tattoos everywhere, like all over his neck and shit. And they weren't even good. I like tattoos. It was just such a stupid thing. But I mean, I bet if I knew that guy in real life and we were just together in a fucking office building and like he worked in one office and I worked in another, I'd be like, what's up, man? What's going on? Everything cool?
Right.
We've been friendly as shit. It's just this weird thing when you're on the highway and everybody's ramped up. Everybody's nervous. You don't even realize you're nervous. Even if you're calm and you're good, you're always ready to do this. You're always ready. Somebody's not, oh, jeez, hit the brakes. Oh, look at that. There's a fucking thing in the road. Oh, shit. You're always ready for that. You have to be ready for that.
That's why when I go to my house to Silver Lake, some people want to get on the highway, and I go, I don't know. I don't want to get on the highway. First of all, it always ends up being about the same time. But even if it's 5 minutes longer, on surface streets, on a highway, I feel like I'm getting too out there in this highway world. I just want to go somewhere where I'm not on the highway.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
because on the side road I can handle it.
Right.
But on the highway I just get stressed out a little more. So I'm like, if it's 10 minutes longer, I don't care.
Yeah, there's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. It's chilling. It's more relaxed. It's chill.
I'll take
stopping,
Pico.
slow down. Stop. No one's driving that fast. Yeah.
I'll take Pico from Center City to my house.
Yeah. I like
Could be
going
half
over
an hour.
Laurel. I like going over Laurel Canyon. You know, when you go into Hollywood, it's more chill. It's kind of cool. Get that cool drive down, that winding road down. That winding road down is excellent, man.
It reminds you you're in L.A.
Yeah, and I always think of like these bad motherfuckers that live right there on the road. Like, well, who do you have to be so confident in people that you buy a house right there on Laurel Canyon around one of those corners where someone could easily miscalculate and slam right into your car and slam into your house? You know those streets? Like Laurel in particular is like, there's a lot of like jockeying for position on Laurel. I saw a guy the other day take a chance move and dump into the left lane to oncoming traffic to pass a guy on Laurel. And I was like, whoa, that is like you're committing to being a cocksucker. Like you're going down there's no way you know if someone's coming. You don't have enough time. And if they're coming up the hill, like you're coming down the hill, the same kind of assholishness, we got a real problem here. Like you're going into the left lane. It's right next to your house? What? These people, their houses are right there, man. Like you could like reach out and smack their mailman in the ass as you're driving by. It's crazy.
I always think that, like on the highway, when there's an apartment building so close to the highway that you could forget something and go, honey, I'm pulling around in the overpass. Come over to the window and throw me my shoes.
Like an episode of The Honeymooners or some shit, right? Yeah. Catch! Yeah.
They have a string, maybe they run from the, I don't know.
Whenever I look at a science fiction movie about like the future, like District 9, remember District 9? Great fucking movie, man. But one of the things about these like super uber congested cities, you look at them and you go, okay, is that coming? Is that like going to be everywhere? Are we going to be really living in this sort of weird dystopian future? I mean, New York City is in the perfect spot, right? Because it's not quite dystopian, but it's definitely exceptional. Like those views that you get, like a buddy of mine had an apartment in Brooklyn on the water facing the city, which I think is even, I don't know if it's better than being in the city, but it's pretty fucking stunning. And I just was in his living room going, holy shit, man, this is crazy. Like this view is crazy. It's beautiful, like stunning. But if that keeps going, right, then it becomes this monolithic, huge favela, like, you know, some crazy, like completely stuffed with people and chickens and dogs running around. And I mean, like all these future dystopia movies, it's not like everything's amazing in the future. We have these huge superpopulated cities and everything's perfect. No, it's all like way more crime, way more craziness.
Oh. Stressed out.
Well, it's just thinking. I think people are improving, and you think people are improving.
Yeah,
we both do. We think life's improving.
Wait,
people
does
are
that mean
smarter.
you're kidding?
No.
It could be,
but I'm saying there is a problem with the numbers, the actual raw numbers of us. Like if you go back just a few decades, the amount of people was like 5 billion less. I mean, it's not that long. I mean, I think you go back to like the 80s. We've done this before, and I know. I always forget, and I probably should remember. But what was world population in 1985? That's when I got out of high school. I want to say it was less than 3 billion. That's what I want to say. No, I'm wrong? 5 billion?
A little less.
A little less than 5 billion? Okay. I feel a little bit better. Anyway, during that time, from 1985 to 2018, it's now, is it 7 billion or has it hit 8? Because the world population was real close to 8. 7? Fuck, man. That's a lot of people.
But you know what?
That's gaining more than 2 billion people in just a few decades. So you keep doing that. You do that a few decades more. Does it accelerate? You must, because there's 2 billion more people having people. So it's got to accelerate exponentially.
But every problem you list, I feel like I connect it right back to old people. Like the population. We just live in a society that, have kids. No one goes, hey, well, learn about yourself. And when you really know what your patients are, then if you start, you'll see at a certain time, you might be, no one, it's just that type of, you have to have kids. Yeah. Okay. That's older people, you know, that put that thought out there. The energy problem, if we were just letting kids lead, we'd have electric cars already. You know, they already had that information back then, and we just.
The real problem with electric cars is the batteries.
Well, I mean,
and
even
they're
that's true. But
what about working that out?
What about just I mean,
Elon Musk is pretty much at the top of the heap when it comes to figuring out electric car technology. I don't think there's anybody that's ever had it nailed down like him before. I mean, there's a few different car companies that make really good electric cars. Fisker makes a really good one. But it's the technology is reliant upon those batteries. Like this is not something we could have had 30 years ago and been
what about
functional.
solar power and stuff?
Solar power is absolutely viable, and especially in California where it's never raining. I mean, it's been raining out here for a few days, and everybody's like, "It's amazing! It's like we're living in Seattle." You know, everything's all green and shit, but it's sunny most of the time, and we could just be collecting energy for that. There's political issues with that. There's like, you know, you'd have to get the infrastructure ready. You could sell back to the grid. There's that. You know, people do that. There's a lot of like difficulty though. Apparently, Brian Callen went through that when he got his house solar powered, and he said, "Is it really a lot of red tape?" And he goes, "And it seems like they're trying to discourage you from doing it and make it difficult for you to do it, for you to switch over to electric." Because he had his installed and hooked up for months before it got switched on with the grid. It was like a real issue. And then even more so, I think, if you want to go off-grid. So you can use solar power and have no connection to the grid. That's a slippery slope. And in some places, I don't know if you can do that. I think some places might actually prevent you from doing that, which is really weird. They can prevent you. Like, you will only use our logs.
Right.
No one else's logs should be in your hearth. Our logs. Basically, that's what they're saying,
Well,
right?
that
is what they're saying.
Because that's not the tone they say it with.
You
That's
can't
their
say,
words.
hey, man, I don't need your power anymore, but thanks. No, you will be on our
Well,
grid.
how do you think they would sell that? Like, just guessing. Like, how do they make that make sense?
They would have to have some regulations. Like, we don't know shit about your solar. We don't know if it's dangerous. We don't know what you're up to. So, I mean, they can sell it in any way they want if they're doing it in order to save their constituents money or to do the bidding of whatever special interest group is lobbying for them to do it. I mean, that's why they do those things. They don't do those things because they make sense. They don't do those things because they're logical. Hey, don't get that free power. Let me make it confusing to get that free power, make it real hard for you to turn on. I just gotta stretch it out a few months. You got to keep paying me for a few months. If they can just do that with 1 million customers, you have 3 million more months of billable hours if they wanted to do it that way. If they just made it a policy to act slower. I don't know how it works, man. I mean, but I know how money works.
I bet there's truth to what you're saying.
There has to
Of
be.
course.
There's so much money involved. And they don't make power companies because they're altruistic, beautiful people who want everybody to watch TV. They do because they want that cash, baby. That's why they're going to drill holes right next to the river. Come on, that's where all the good stuff is. Fuck the salmon. They're just going to get in there and just start drilling. They don't give a fuck, man. People who just want money don't give a fuck. This is what's the problem with guys like Trump. This is what the problem with the guys like he brings in. There's so many. The number one thing is not making money. The number one thing is sustainability. That's the number one thing. Living off the earth. That's the number one thing. Can we live off this earth? Okay, good. Number two thing, we got to be safe. Okay, how can we be safe? Well, first of all, we need to be able to talk. So freedom of speech is hugely fucking important when it comes to being safe. You need to be able to say things without fear of repercussion. You need to be able to communicate 100% honestly amongst each other so we can figure out how you really feel. Tell me how you really feel about this, then I can understand you. I don't really understand you yet because you're hiding how you really feel about life, parts of life. That's where freedom of speech is so goddamn important. Just one aspect of it being important. Being able to protest about stuff. All that shit. Do you have to pee? Is that what you wrote down?
No.
Who just did that? Somebody just did that the other day and handed me a note. I have to pee.
How long have we gone?
Pat Miletich, maybe.
Oh, it was Pat Miletich, yeah. It's 1:30. What did we start at? Like 11:15? So you do the math. I'm too stupid for that.
Yeah,
It's
I already.
Figured it out.
Me too.
That's what we were talking about.
3.
That's why you eat the food that you shouldn't be eating. Same reason. You got that fuck it gene. Fuck it.
After midnight, it's just
it's hard.
bad.
Oh, I do it sometimes. I came home the other day from the ice house Saturday night, and I cooked a steak at 1 in the morning. I got the cast iron skillet out, and I put some butter down, and I had steak and kimchi while I watched TV at 1 o'clock in the morning, or whatever the fuck it was.
And it was delicious, right?
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Now, can you? I'm lucky that the reason I want to stop is not because I get sick. I really have an iron stomach, if there's such a thing.
That's good.
But it's just it still makes me feel a little bit like I don't get sick, but you feel a little heavy in the morning.
Dude, I took 2 whole days, yesterday and the day before, where I ate bullshit. Yesterday, I ate egg rolls. The day before, I had a big bowl of pasta, and I had a cupcake. I just decided, fuck it. It's Sunday or Monday or whatever it was. Sunday and Monday. Let's just have some fun. So for 2 days, I just ate whatever the fuck I wanted. I just decided I want to do that. I had the worst farts of my career. I mean, of my career of farting. these were the bombs to end all bombs. My body's just not designed to do that anymore. It just doesn't want to do that anymore because I've been eating so clean, so regularly, that just a couple of days of pasta and bullshit and egg rolls, and my body was like, fuck you. I felt lethargic. I was like, I just want to sit down all the time. My workout sucked. It was hard to push myself. I was like, wow, like, this is not good. Like, eating bullshit. This is what most people are doing. Most people are doing all day. They're eating candy bars and bullshit, and they're not getting any nutrients. You?
I mean,
You eat candy bars?
Well, here's what I mean. I eat very bad.
Why? You should eat good.
I know.
You're a smart guy.
I know.
Why don't you approach it like you're taking in the artwork of these people who cook food for you, or learn how to cook yourself?
Here's the problem.
Oh,
is that I during the day I eat great.
Right.
I juice every day, like kale, carrots, celery, ginger, beets, every single day.
so you don't eat terrible.
At a healthy. Well, no, that's just because my only thing I could do to say, okay, while I have this shitty diet, I can at least say to my body, I think of myself as my body going, thank you for giving us some good stuff. We wish you wouldn't eat that other shit, but thanks for something.
That's
so every
legit.
day I juice. But then, no, it gets bad late at night. I mean, if it's...
But that's good, though. So you're not all bad. You have a lot of good habits. Like, you're very aware that you need nutrients. When you do that stuff and juice, one of the things that they say, we should probably look this up right now because I'm obviously not a nutrition expert, but I'm pretty much sure they say that vitamins are absorbed better when you have them with some healthy fat. So I think they recommend coconut oil. If you have some coconut oil with vegetables, when you drink vegetable juice, it actually can enhance the absorption of some of the vitamins.
Wow, that's good to know.
Yeah, so some people mix it in or mix MCT oil, medium chain triglyceride oil. Fat-soluble vitamins. You won't get enough vitamin D from drinking vegetable juice. It's found mainly in fatty fish, cheese, mushrooms, egg yolks, beef liver, and fortified foods. You need vitamin D. They're saying this. They're just saying that vitamin D is very difficult to get if you're a vegan. That's all that's saying.
I do eat food too, but the thing is, like, I at night I'm so hungry, so it's like I'll go to the Vons. I'll be like, well, listen, I'm going to want candy no matter what.
Right.
And I had dinner at like 5:30. This is like now at 9. So I don't really need dinner. I ate dinner. So I go, well, if I'm going to get dinner, I'm going to want candy, a second dinner, whatever you want to call it.
A second dinner.
9 o'clock.
A treat.
So I go. I know this is bad, but the last few weeks, I'll be there and I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to eat. I'm going to want candy. I'll just get candy. And then I'm proud of myself because I did. Like, you didn't need food and candy. You get food or candy. And when I get candy, I get candy. It's not like
kind? You getting like a jumbo Snickers bar? What are you doing?
I told someone that helps out at the podcast when they're at the Vons to get me a candy bar. They brought me back a candy bar. I'm like, are you shit?
What kind?
Oh, Reese's Cups, I said. I go, get some Reese's Cups. They brought back 2 Reese's Cups in a pack.
Oh, little ones?
Yeah, I go, when I say Reese's Cups, I mean a bag of... Like, I had this fantasy. Now the fantasy that I had of eating Reese's Cups nonstop for 5-10 minutes is now gone.
Love Reese's Cups.
Do you like the double...
The big ones.
The extra...
Yeah, the big thick ones. And I like to have them with ice cream.
Oh, I've done that many times.
All kinds of ice cream. Chocolate ice cream. Fuck it, I'll have it with strawberry. I don't give a shit.
You know, I know. But what would we say no to?
Bro. I'm crazy.
I know what I would rather have, but you take a double Reese's Cup, put it in the microwave for literally 10 seconds, and then get the vanilla ice cream and just smash it on top. It's absurd.
Absurd. There's something about ice cream and some cakes, like a warm apple pie with vanilla ice cream. Woo! Holy shit. Chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream. Oh, my goodness. A good warm chocolate cake and vanilla ice cream. Oh, apple pie, though, with cinnamon and vanilla ice cream. Holy shit, Todd Glass. Holy shit. Holy shit, that's good.
The French apple pie with vanilla ice cream. Because you get the...
Apple pie is American, motherfucker. I don't know where you get this French shit from.
Here's what McDonald's should do.
Do they even have apples in France?
Speaking of apple pie, McDonald's should do this. Take a clear glass that you can see, right?
Right.
They picture the commercial. They'll shoot it right. Then put the apple pie in there.
Apple pie in a glass.
And then fill it with vanilla ice cream and put some caramel sauce and call it their apple pie a la mode.
Ooh.
And put a spoon and you get the apple pie, the vanilla ice cream, a little bit of sauce at the top too.
You shouldn't be telling them this on the show. You should go to them with a proposal. The Todd Glass apple pie.
It's a great idea.
Mode.
And they have all the stuff there to need it.
You could be their spokesperson in the commercial. This is my idea. I think it's amazing. Just do it that way. Look. You get the pie.
Look on the side. There's the apple pie and the ice cream and some caramel sauce on the top.
Caramel sauce, dig in.
It's apple pie a la mode.
That's a great idea. I'm not bullshitting. Good idea. Especially if you could figure out how to nuke only the apple pie.
Well, they could.
So they'd have to put it together.
No, the apple pie is already hot. It's in there.
So they drop it in.
They drop it in hot.
Drop the ice cream on top.
Drop the ice cream on top.
That's genius. takes a couple seconds to make, right? You don't just grab it. You got to drop one in there.
It's very easy to make.
Yeah, bang, bang. It's there, yeah, right? That's a great idea. That's a really good. That's the best idea I've ever heard on this podcast.
Thank you.
Oh, they have it.
This isn't McDonald's. I used to work at a
they
restaurant that made this exact dessert the way you're describing it. And
In a glass?
In the exact order.
Oh, I'm not saying the idea is
yeah,
that.
I know, but
I'm saying it's that they have all the ingredients to do it. They have those glasses. They have
Right.
apple pie. Well, they should just serve it because I bet it would be a big seller. Because
Those apple pies are not bad either. Those McDonald's
They're
apple
not.
pies, when you want one, those are not bad.
no.
What's that?
2 for $1.
Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Here's my bad. I call it junk. It's junk. It's food,
Junk
but it's
food.
junk food.
Yeah.
But not candy. Junk food.
Right.
So I like to get the biggest McDonald's hamburger there is. Like whatever it is that I can get on the menu. I look, okay, can I get that with nothing on it? Just a plain burger, no cheese, no nothing.
Okay.
Then I get an Egg McMuffin. You can either do two things. One, you could take all the ingredients off the Egg McMuffin and put it in the hamburger. So you have a hamburger with an egg, a piece of ham, it's so good. Or take the hamburger, put it, and let the Egg McMuffin be the bread. But it's pretty good.
That sounds pretty goddamn good. That sounds like you're doing God's work. You're figuring out some stuff that they can't figure out. They figured out some impressive things. They figured out how to make a fucking juicy, delicious pancake that's the top of a McMuffin. Those McGriddles. That is one of my all-time favorite cheat foods. A goddamn McGriddle. Those
Yes.
are fucking delicious.
They
You
are-
want to talk about like the good feeling in your mouth for a buck? Like how much bang you get for your buck? If you're hungry with the cheese and the egg, holy shit.
Here's my point, how much I agree with you. Now, we're not saying the ingredients or anything. If you took that McGriddle,
Yeah.
I say this with a lot of foods. I'm just
Look at
using
that
this as an example because you just said that actual item. But I say this with a lot of things. You take that McGriddle, put it on a chopping block.
Right.
At a French restaurant and then all you do is put that McGriddle on the chopping block and then maybe put some syrup all over it, deliver it to a table. No one's going to go, it's good, but it's not like it's fast food. No, they're going to go, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you know what I say that about Papa John's cinnamon things they do? You know where they take the bread, they put it's not only they put the
Yeah.
butter on it, but then the vanilla glaze all over it. They put it in
Right.
the oven. If you were anywhere, they go, at about 6 a.m. that they put the fresh cinnamon tarts out, and then you took a Papa John's, put it on. No one would eat it and go, no, it's good. It's sugary. It's doing the job. Then they'd go, what?
What if you had a McGriddle with ice cream on it?
Wow.
Ice cream in between. Like in between the layers, you put the McGriddle down with the sausage.
It'd be absurd.
It'd be fucking
sausage?
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think of the sausage.
McGriddle. Sausage.
Sausage.
McGriddle.
I just thought the bread and the syrup and stuff.
Oh, the whole shebang.
Sausage? I mean, that would.
Let's
I
see.
don't know. What do you think?
Let's see. You could definitely do it. I've always loved Hawaiian pizza, the pineapple and ham together.
Yeah, me too. Some people. You know what? I'll argue social issues because I think there's a good side of it. But some people, I'm okay to let go when people go, I can't believe someone would like pineapple on pizza. Okay.
Right.
I'm not.
I can't believe you like the Pixies. Jesus.
That's okay.
You know what I really
So
love?
I'm a pineapple.
Pineapple and anchovy. I know it sounds disgusting. It tastes amazing. It's one of my all-time favorite pizzas. It might be my all-time.
Mine's pineapple and sliced sausage.
What are you watching, Jamie?
This is a McGriddle
this is how they make it?
being rolled into those rolled ice cream things that's popular right now.
Oh.
It's almost what you just described, but not quite, and it looks actually kind
So
of
they
gross.
froze
Wow.
it and then turned it into those things?
Yeah, have you seen those?
And they chopped it up and flattened it
I
out?
watched the beginning
Ugh,
of it.
it's
It
like
was so
barely food.
so
It's barely food. That's so weird.
What is
Oh,
it?
the extra one
wow.
on top.
So it's the not the inside of the McGriddle.
No, yeah.
It's just the
As it
outside.
starts over here again.
And they turned it into this thing.
Does
Wow.
McDonald's do it?
Yeah,
No,
well, that
no,
makes
someone just
sense.
made it
If
right
it's
here.
the inside of the McGriddle, because it's all, the outside rather, because it's all just that doughy shit anyway. Also, they poured the batter on it and then
Yeah.
oh, it is everything.
Yeah.
It's the meat too. Oh, that's crazy. How weird.
Might
man.
be good, but I don't know.
It might be good.
Yeah.
Look, it's probably an interesting way to eat. I mean, it's no different than what you're doing when you're masticating it.
Right.
That's what you're doing. You're making that out of it. It's just making that already.
Just maybe you don't want to see it.
I found out this past weekend that ground beef was invented by the Mongols. Ground meat. I went to see the Genghis Khan exhibit at the Reagan Library. Fuck living back then, dude. You think it'd be hard to start over as an open mic comic? Imagine starting off in a Mongol camp.
Wait, why was ground beef invented?
They invented ground beef, apparently. The Mongol Empire is either indirectly responsible, directly responsible, or they invented like a shitload of things.
And what year would that
pants.
be? What year would it be?
I think that was like the 1200s that they existed, that they first came to be.
What? Just before that, they just ate steak?
No, before, I mean, look, they all...
Whatever you call
I think they probably they just probably like cooked meat and just ate the meat. And then someone figured out, well, you could take tough cuts because they would eat, whatever the fuck they could. Take a tough cut and grind it up. You can cook it and eat it easier. So they figured that out.
You don't eat meat, right?
I eat a lot of meat.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Why did you think I wouldn't eat meat?
I don't know. Because, maybe
Think meat's bad for you? Are you one of those guys?
Well, no. I would say free. I would just say I listen to always am open to listen to new things to sway my opinion, but I like the stance of I heard someone talking about at least free range.
Yeah.
Now I know the opposing view on that too, but I just thought if you're thinking, I get it that there is a food chain. This is what I heard this person speaking. I'm not saying it, but it's made sense to me. No, there is a food chain, and we don't have to torture animals, of course, but there is this. But untortured animals. Then I would be like. If I was going to eat, I wish I could, if I was going to eat meat, I do eat meat.
Yeah.
But I wish I did it that way. I'd be proud of myself if I committed. When I hear someone that does that I'm like, I have admiration for that.
Would you ever consider killing an animal that you were going to eat? Would you ever consider like raising a cow and killing it?
I couldn't. But I don't.
What about hunting? Do you think you could hunt?
No.
No.
Could you? Oh, you've hunted.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not. I just couldn't hunt. I'm not proper.
You just don't want it.
Yeah.
It's not something you're interested in.
I'd be too scared.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's like.
I shot a guy in the face once at camp. Oops.
Shot a man in Reno.
I shot him in Reno. Remember, when he's singing that song, he was in prison, which I like that he went back and performed there. That they don't have to be lost.
Yeah.
They don't have and then he goes, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die, and they all go, woo! I go, well, let's not glorify the.
Yeah.
That's what
I know.
What if Johnny Cash said that? Right, listen, I'm here. Let's not.
Guys.
Don't have to.
I'm bummed out about it.
Yeah, I'm bummed out about it. I'm singing it. It's not good.
Didn't someone just do a stand-up special inside a prison?
Jeff Ross.
Jeff Ross did, but another comic did. A black comic.
You know
Ali Sadiq.
John Baron Wagner?
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
See it.
Wow. I like the background you have behind you more than the background behind me.
Yeah.
You look at the screens.
I got to.
What's it called?
I think I do have to go
Bigger
to the
than these
bathroom.
bars.
It's bigger than these bars. Oh, nice. You got to use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Don't worry about
It's
it.
all
man.
right?
Yeah.
You're not going to say
We'll probably
anything.
No, we could wrap this up too. I mean, we've already been
Yeah, I was
on.
going to ask you about this while you go to the bathroom, if that's okay. This
Okay.
Mongol eating meat thing. I just pulled up this article from the New York Times that said that horse meat being tenderized under their saddle is a myth. I don't know if that's the same way it's described.
Yeah. I don't tenderize under their saddle.
Yeah, it said that it was
Steak tartare was horse meat dish that originated from the horse-eating Mongols of Central Asia, who swept across the eastern Central Europe 800 years ago. The most common tales that how would you say that? Tater,
Tater tots.
Tatar. Horsemen would put a slice of horse meat beneath their saddle in the morning and retrieve it, tenderized by the pounding to eat raw for dinner. They supposedly left their raw meat-eating habit behind, and according to one version of the story, it was carried by the German sailors to Hamburg, where the taste for ground beef begat both hamburgers and steak tartare. Huh. Oh. That's interesting.
Is that where Neil Hamburger? Is that where a hamburger came from? That guy that goes hamburger. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead, use the bathroom. It's cool.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Cool.
I wanted to ask about that because that's interesting. I wonder if the Reagan Library has old information in their exhibit.
I mean, it says it's been passed around as a myth since like 1924.
Yeah, but you can't just say that if you're running a museum. You should probably know that that's not true. Unless they figured out chopped meat and this is not the same thing.
Right.
Maybe it's not, maybe originally it was. But I would feel like if someone wanted to do that, that would be a way to tenderize meat.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the same restaurant I was describing that I worked at before was a Mongolian barbecue grill where we'd cook with swords, literal metal swords on a flat top when it was supposed to be representing the shields that the Mongols would cook on back in the 800 whatever. And they were just shredding meat. That's the only way you could do it. So they were shredding beef. I don't know if it's ground, but like definitely shredded. So it's all the same thing.
When we cooked in the field with Ranella for the first time, when we shot a deer, he pounded it flat. Like he took like a chunk of the back strap and then put it in between. I forget what he put it in between, but pounded it flat before he cooked it, like to tenderize it and break it down a little bit.
I just watched a video of a guy pounding an aluminum foil roll and making a knife out of it. It's fucking badass.
Like a knife, like a shiv or a shank?
Watching it. Like, I know you like to watch knife making things.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a 10-minute video of him literally taking the whole roll.
Pull it up. I want to see that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Some dude made a knife out of an aluminum foil roll. That's when you really want to fuck somebody up. But you're trapped in a restaurant.
Hey, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, we probably should go for the close.
Look at this. Look at this guy. He's going to hammer down this aluminum foil until he can turn into a knife.
He did it all like in a kitchen, too. He just uses a regular old stove, gas stove, to heat it up.
Did he just hammer it down and then fold it? Is that what he did?
No, he leaves it here. I'll just kind of skip ahead so you can
It
see
is a good idea
he heats it.
for bad, unless you were trying to use that to build your kids a fort. Then you're a nice person. You make a hammer.
Whoa, he turned it into metal that he could saw.
Wow.
This is
Cut it.
crazy.
Yeah.
Holy
Am I a
shit.
moron? The way I
He spent
react?
a lot of time sharpening it down.
This is crazy. Whoa, this is nuts. So he turned it into a real piece of aluminum.
Oh, yeah. And then at
Wow. That is fucking bananas. And he sharpened it?
the end here, yep, all
That
the way
is
down.
crazy.
Put it in
Wow.
wood, gave it a handle,
Oh, my God.
and then put it at the end, puts it in a package and shows like chopping stuff.
I mean, it must be so weak, though.
I mean,
It's aluminum.
Oh, he sells it?
it probably might rust.
Why would you want to
easily.
buy it? Why would
I
you
want to
care?
buy it just because I'm an asshole. I want to buy an aluminum foil knife. I need it.
I need it. You know this.
Gimme.
Maybe
Every
on
time
pasta.
people come over to the house, you go, "This knife is made out of aluminum foil." I have a video we want you to watch.
He made a knife out of
I
pasta?
think he's just showing that he
Oh, he
can
makes
do it.
knives
Make
out
a
of
knife
pasta.
out of anything.
Oh, that's great.
What about the story that Chris Ryan told about the guy who made a knife out of shit, and it was frozen, or a frozen shit knife to kill one of his dogs, because he was like a sled dogger and he was starving to death?
Wow.
Yeah. Was that true, or did he carve his way out of an ice hole with a shit shovel? It's one of those. A frozen shit shovel. You're the only guy that comes with notes.
You know what? I wrote. Can I plug some dates?
Sure. Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
cool.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'll get through this real
Tell
quick.
people about your special first. Where is that?
I have
What's
an
it
hour
called?
special on Netflix. It's
Right
called
now.
Act Happy. I wanted to call it Suck My Pigeon Dick, but I was the only one that was raising my hand for
I wish
that.
I was there. I would have backed you up.
It's a
Who the
joke
hell
in the
would've-
act.
Right, and who the hell would have not forgotten?
I know, right?
Right? Suck my pigeon dick? That's hilarious.
Can I tell you something? The last time I wanted, 2 times, and I don't tell any stories like, oh, this person. No, these 2 things I think, and I think I would have learned my lesson because my book I wanted to call, my book, All I Ever Wanted to Do Was Meet a Nice Girl with a Terminal Disease. And then other stupid things I said to keep the closet door shut. I would add that as a subtitle, even though I hated the word closet. That's how I tried to sell it to him, because I hate closet and anything to do with any words, of that, of Clyde, this and out. And so I go, okay, if I can call it All I Ever Wanted to Do Was Meet a Nice Girl. The first title was with cancer. All I ever wanted to do was meet a nice girl with cancer. And other stupid things I said to keep the closet door shut. Because there's a story in there about me, literally, me and my friend, So it does make sense, and it's not mean. It's not insulting cancer. I think that still should have been the title of the book.
The problem is people are going to see it and go, oh, he's just a mean guy that wants girls to die. That's the boiled down dumb version of it before they look into it.
Isn't that funny?
You didn't even consider
I
that?
didn't even consider that. So they're right.
Well, you're wishing...
How about terminal disease? No, you're right. It brings up a dumb guy writing a book. Hey,
I
here's how
wanted to
you...
suck my dick and then die of cancer. Oh!
You know what?
Yeah.
That's how, you know what? I'm stubborn in certain ways, but in other ways, all you got to do is
good.
cleanly explain something to me. Oh, yeah, they're right. I don't want to call it that. I never thought about that. For the wrong audience to see it on a shelf somewhere. Even,
I think we should all be able to change our opinions about things. I try hard to work on that.
I do too.
I think it's a big thing about being a person. Be able to look at things and not think that you are those ideas. You're a person. You're not those ideas. Like you don't just because you thought of it and you subscribed to it and you believed in it at one point in time, don't let it define you. It's just an idea. And if it's wrong, be honest about it and say, this is why I thought it was real. And people will respect that because they'll know that when you're talking, you're saying what's really on your mind, whether you're right or whether you're wrong. You might be incorrect, but if you are incorrect, you're going to let them know you're incorrect.
And you know what? The way to look at that, I think, and I remind myself every time I talk about this stuff, to say, how many of the things are you doing because they're right, or you just think time equals validity?
Right.
Because there probably are some things that you should have been doing for the last 40 years. But so let's not go issue by issue. Here's a wider scope for someone to put themselves under fair judgment.
Right.
If you're 45 years old and you haven't had, I'm just throwing out numbers, I'm okay with
Right.
up or down the number, but you'll get the gist of what I'm saying. If you're 45 years old and what are we talking about? I'm sorry, I got high, but if you remind me, I'll go right back.
I'm not exactly sure where you were going with it.
Oh, shit.
Marijuana. It's that goddamn
Marijuana,
spray.
I don't even fuck her. Nothing.
Jamie, what was he talking about?
Oh, no.
No. We'll figure it out. Don't worry.
I want to do so, and then I have to plug these dates, and I want to remember that.
Well, we were talking about people being nicer to each other. We're talking about
being able to change
your comedy special, being able to change your opinions on things. And I think it's very important to be able to just change your opinion and that you are not your ideas. Just because you believe something doesn't mean you should be locked into it. Because
I remembered.
Okay.
A good way to judge yourself is to go, if you're 45 years old and you haven't maybe in the last so many years changed your view on something, how about we start with that?
Right.
We won't even take issue at hand. Well, what does that say? There's no way that you shouldn't be changing.
You definitely should.
Right. So if it's not, it doesn't have to be everything. But we'd say in a 10-year period, were there two things that you were adamant about, maybe in two areas? Not everything. Sometimes you're right because you're right. But if you can honestly, not just outwardly to be right in an argument, go, yeah, I changed my opinion, but go inward. No one's around. Be honest with yourself. And then you might be able to go in the dark of your own asking yourself, go, fuck, I guess I really haven't.
Yeah.
And then be aware of it, and then there starts your change. We'll be back right after this. Joe Rogan's our guest. He'll be at the... let me just get
for
these.
sure. Get these, and folks, let me just say to you, if you're in a place where Todd Glass is performing, he's one of the best stand-up comics working in America today. You're a very funny guy.
And I do it right. I got the two-piece. Even when you're being sat, there's a two-piece. It's all right the minute you get in there. Okay, Jazz, Texas. I'm going to go to a jazz club. It's not even a comedy club. They reached out. So in April 22nd and 23rd.
Where's that?
It's in San Antonio. Jazz, Texas.
Bam.
I liked it.
Plus, if shit gets crazy, you're real close to Mexico.
Right.
Just make a mad run across the border. Yeah! You're right there. How far is it from San Antonio to Texas?
I don't know.
I think they could shoot each other.
Mexico.
Did I say to Texas? Yeah. I meant Mexico. Yeah.
But
Did I say
like
Texas when I was telling him too?
No, the first time you said it right.
Okay. If you're that close to Mexico, like what's the closest city we have? Is it Laredo?
El Paso.
El Paso? El Paso is the closest?
I've been in El Paso.
I heard El Paso, like bullets have hit buildings. Like the buildings in El Paso, bullets from like the drug war have hit. Like, what is that, Juarez? Is Juarez right next to El Paso? Juarez is a particularly dangerous place.
I don't need to go there.
But hey, don't go there. Go see Todd Glass. Todd, where you're performing next.
Okay. That's why I'm trying to do it fast. I always feel guilty about plugs.
Don't.
But,
well, where's your website?
Todd Glass Comedy at Gmail.
You don't even know what it is?
Well, I think it's that. Probably Todd Glass Comedy. Todd Glass at Gmail. Todd Glass?
No, not your email address. Your website address.
Oh, Todd. I'm not thinking very clearly.
Okay, no worries. ToddGlass.com or something.
ToddGlass.com.
Maybe that's what it should say.
Okay, that's what it is.
Okay.
Then I'll be at the Blue Room, and I hate reading. The Blue Room in Springfield, Missouri. And that's the 7th through the 9th of June. 2 more. That's right. Blue Room. I like the pictures. Royal Comedy Theater in Hopkins, Missouri. It's the Royal Comedy Theater. This place is one. I love it. And then it's in Hopkins. Am I saying that right? Missouri, Minnesota. He's gonna punch me in the face. June 21st through the 24th.
And then you're at the Stir Crazy Comedy Club in Arizona,
There you
Glendale,
go.
Arizona. Come on down.
God. Can I tell
Sunset
you
Boulevard in Glendale, Arizona.
Thank you, Stir Crazy in Arizona. And I need that just now. What I just did.
Yes.
No lie, my heartbeat
Exhausting.
is exhausting.
Yeah, because you're funny. You don't want to do that.
No, and
just
also
wanna be yourself.
reading it was
Reading
so
it.
difficult.
So hard. How do people do it?
You were reading pretty good off the
I don't
TV.
know how I did it. I was in a trance. All right, brother. Well, that was very fun.
That was great. That was so
very
much
It
fun.
was very fun. ToddGlass.com. Go see him. And Netflix special out right now. Suck My Pigeon Dick. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Act happy.
Act happy. Don't look for Suck My Pigeon Dick. Maybe the Netflix
Change
will
it.
give in. The Cave. Bye.
Wow.